Yes. Hello, my beautiful friends. What an amazing day it is. We have some great updates we're about to dig into. Hillary Clinton deposed today under oath. There was a little bit of a snafu. Apparently, they had to pause the whole situation because of an errant photo leak. We'll get into that. But the internet has been unpacking what she is claiming and trying to disprove her lies. She says she's got no recollection of ever having met with Epstein. The internet would like a word with that. So we're going to poke around and see what has come out thus far. Of course, all this is still breaking. We don't have the actual final transcript. No video from inside because the whole thing was under lock and key. But they're saying they're going to get all of this out very quickly, and we'll dig into it. Of course, we actually, as we speak, have the cameras right outside the courtroom. You can see, or outside the congressional building, live right now, waiting for them to come out and give us an update. If it happens while we're here, and it should, we'll be here to cover that. But we'll get into that today. Then we'll get some updates on Fulton County. We had an evidentiary hearing, a little mini trial that was scheduled for tomorrow, which looks like it is not going to be happening. We'll explain why. And the FBI fired a bunch of agents after it was discovered that they were spying on the Trump campaign, literally. Pretty horrendous story. If you've ever had or worked with a lawyer, you would expect your lawyer to be on your side, except in this case, the lawyer was on the phone call with the spies and Susie Wiles in an insane story. And so we're going to get into all of it and more, talk a little bit about the SAVE Act, which apparently is now going to be dead. And we're excited to get into it. Thanks for being here. Thanks for subscribing to our channel and commenting and leaving a thumbs up and all the things. We're grateful for you. We've got some business to attend to. And so let's get right to it, because Hillary Clinton was out there today. Let's talk about it. Hillary Clinton deposed under oath, now explaining with a straight face probably that she has no recollection of ever meeting Jeffrey Epstein, nor of any evidence of his crimes. And we've got some photos to show that that's not probably the truth. We see, here's one photo, for example, of Ghislaine Maxwell. No Jeffrey Epstein, but she was his number two. They were very, very close, as we know. And Maxwell was there at the wedding. There's Bill and Chelsea walking down the aisle. Wow, what a nice day. So Ghislaine's there. And we also remember the fact that Bill Clinton apparently met with Epstein 17 times, not just on the airplane, on the island, getting massages at airports and floating around in swimming pools, but also at the White House. 17 times Epstein visited. And so we're all supposed to just believe Hillary Clinton and take her word for it that they've never actually met. We'll see what happens in the future as soon as that transcript comes out. But here's the background from NBC News. They're saying Hillary Clinton says she has no new information about Jeffrey Epstein. Use the whole charade today to go out there and attack Republicans. Story comes out saying former Secretary of State Clinton told James Comer and the Oversight Committee, I've got no new information about Jeffrey Epstein. These people are very smart. They're not dumb. This is how they rise to power and consolidate power for multiple generations. But they become extremely dumb as soon as they're under oath. All of a sudden, their brains stop working and they forget everything. No recollection. She said, I had no idea about their activities. I do not recall ever encountering Mr. Epstein. I never flew on his plane, but Bill did. And never visited his island or home offices. Now, Epstein has, I think, a little bit to say about this in his emails that we'll look at. So she dropped this full thing and posted an opening statement over on the interwebs before all this took place. I'll just share some of it with you. So you can see February 26th, she's finally hauled into Congress. This is a big deal because she is the former Secretary of State, former presidential candidate in 2016, who Trump beat the crap out of. And she is now hauled in under oath. And the reason you're under oath is because we want to see if you lied. We want to identify statements that are inaccurate, factually wrong, that you probably were making up because you had intent to deceive the congressional body. So she posted this, said, all right, Congress, I'm a former senator. I have respect for this process. Now, as we all know, sometimes Congress becomes partisan. This committee justified its subpoena to me, says Hillary, on its assumption that I have information about Epstein and Maxwell. But let me be as clear as I can. I do not, and she's keeping this limited to criminal activities of them both. As I stated in my sworn declaration, I had no idea about their criminal activities. I do not recall, you see that, ever encountering Mr. Epstein. Can't say the same thing about Ghislaine. I never flew on the plane, never visited the island, never went to the homes or offices. I have nothing to add to that, because if she says any more, then she'll be in trouble if we can prove differently. Like every decent person, just wait on that one, because Hillary, remember, they don't care about the victims. When all these women were coming out saying that her husband, Bill, was abusing them with cigars in the Oval Office, she was coming out and attacking them, saying these women are crazy because they were a threat to her power. They don't give a crap about women or victims at all. So like every decent person, I've been horrified. But what we have learned about their crimes, it's unfathomable that Epstein initially got a slap on the wrist in 2008, which allowed him to continue this for a decade. Now, Chairman, your investigation should be investigating all of this. You subpoenaed 8 law enforcement officials and others. 5 of the 6 former AGs were all allowed to submit briefs. I wasn't, so now you're attacking me. You have held 0 public hearings, refused to allow the media to attend them, and you say that you want transparency? But there are a bunch of other people in these files. Not a single Republican member showed up for Les Wexner's deposition, but now they're here in full force. Well, who wants to go sit through 8 hours of Wexner? But now they're here. So this is an institutional failure. My heart breaks for the survivors. Oh, how rich is that? I've spent my life advocating for women and girls. I've worked hard to stop terrible abuses. In Southeast Asia, I met a bunch of women who were trafficked and more. And if you were new to this issue, let me tell you, Jeffrey was a heinous individual. But he's far from alone. We know. This is not a one-off tabloid sensation. It's a global scourge with an unimaginable toll. We're looking at your husband. He's coming in tomorrow. So my work combating sex trafficking goes back to my early days as First Lady, when she was, I guess, probably helping Bill get away with his abuse. Says she prosecuted, saw anti-trafficking programs, blah, blah, blah. Says sex trafficking and modern slavery, blah, blah, blah. Then she goes on to rip on the Republicans. What about Trump? You should subpoena other people, and you would demand testimony from prosecutors in Florida and New York who gave him the sweetheart deal. A lot of that's true. And she wants Rubio to come in. She wants Bondi to come in. And by the way, man, we've said this before. If the Republicans and the administration don't get this under control, then they will be hauled in, because the Democrats will take over. They'll form their own little committees and they'll start subpoenaing all of these people. And we made a video here that said that Pam Bondi is going to be right in the crosshairs for a direct violation of the law. Epstein Files Transparency Act said do these things. They're saying she didn't do the things. Again, doesn't even matter whether it's true or not. All they want is to hold you in contempt of Congress and then pass you off for prosecution when they have that opportunity. So she says, why are you holding this stuff back? Why are you protecting everybody? And we'll get into this because Maxwell has also now dropped a new motion, essentially, that has been just submitted yesterday. This is the docket in U.S. versus Maxwell, the original criminal prosecution. And the DOJ submitted a new letter. And in this letter are a bunch of Maxwell's attachments. She submitted a petition for a writ of habeas corpus, just like the illegal aliens, saying you're illegally detaining me, and dropped hundreds of pages of files. We'll go through some of them, including these flight logs, to see if there's a bunch of Republicans on there right there. We'll go back into that in a moment. But the hearing, of course, was all day. We're waiting for them to wrap it up. And Hillary's statement, of course, was delivered at the outset of the committee deposition. But then they had a pause. There was a big problem. Benny Johnson, shout out. He posted a photo that for some reason Lauren Boebert sent over to him. And once he posted this photo, you see Hillary Clinton tucked back over there. Don't know exactly where they're at. Looks like they got some folding tables with some like picnic blankets on it or whatever. That's how much attention this is getting. So bring out the folding tables, put some tablecloths on them, and then they did the depo. Now, once that photo leaked, they said, oh, this is a violation of the rules, and came out. You can see it looks like these are some representatives who were inside the building and came out and said, oh, the rules have been violated. The sanctity of this entire depo is now in question, and we have to pause to figure out what to do next. Here's what it sounded like out at the Chappaqua Performing Arts Center. They couldn't find another building in D.C. to do this at. So they walk out in a huff.
How are you?
Very low audio because they're not in front of the microphones, but let's see if we can parse together what happened.
Just a very quick thing. My name is Nick Merrill. I'm an advisor to Secretary Clinton. This is Angel Ernest, who's an advisor to President Clinton. The hearing just went off the record for a moment because it seemed, as some of you may have seen, that there were some photographs shared on social media, which is against chamber rules that were read at the top of the meeting. So the hearing has been paused briefly while they figure out where the photo came from and why possibly members of Congress are violating House rules. So we'll keep you updated. We just wanted to share what's happening inside.
Sorry, Nick.
Yeah.
I haven't actually seen that. Can you explain what?
So a photo leak. This guy's a representative from Hillary's team. There were rules read at the outset of the hearing. Don't share photos. This is all private, blah, blah, blah. For whatever reason, Lauren Boebert disregarded those, sent a photograph to somebody else. He published the photo, and then they're going to latch onto that crap. They're up, violation of the rules, dismiss everything. Hillary Clinton's innocent, and so we don't want to give them those opportunities, generally speaking.
If you look on your Twitter feed, you know who it came from?
It came from Benny Johnson. He
Oh,
said
Benny.
Lauren Boebert gave it to him.
Yeah, look at Benny Johnson's feed. Good? We'll be back. Thanks.
All right, so now all the media is dumping on Benny Johnson and Lauren Boebert because of a photo. It's like, is that worth it? Not really. But then they go back in. The whole thing was paused. Everybody was screaming about this. The Republicans broke the rules. They're not taking this seriously. This is a failure. So CBS goes hog wild on it and said, oh, yep, this is the probe was briefly paused after a photo leaks. It's like the photo we just saw was this photo. And that's enough to derail the hearing right in the middle of the hearing. They went back and, of course, continued on. But they say the photo was posted by a conservative and Lauren gave it to them. Then the deposition resumed. And I would imagine, man, that they were trying to get out of it because of this. In her opening statement on Thursday, Hillary said no involvement. And then she attacked the probe. We read her statement. The Democrats were out in full force. And they're also now they came out in the aftermath of the posted photo and said, this is ridiculous. We're agreeing to follow the rules and follow the sanctity of the proceeding, and they're not. And so they just, gave them an opportunity to then come out and start screaming and shouting right when we're trying to get answers from the former Secretary of State. Now, here was more reporting from outside the building, over from Fox News, and here's what they said.
Is over hours from now, but the Associated Press is reporting Hillary Clinton in testimony says, and she's under oath, she has no information on Epstein's criminal activities and never recalls meeting him. All
right, well, looks like Epstein recalls meeting her because he talks about how she looks in person. We'll come back to that.
Jason.
That may be true, but I think the question is, what about the money? I think what you're going to see from this, again, no allegation of necessarily breaking the law, but what about the money? I think the money trail is the primary question, or one of the questions that the Clintons are going to ask. Hillary Clinton's going to be asked. Donations that went into the Clinton initiative. What about the Global Foundation? And what were the introductions? Because the soft power of having a former Secretary of State or having a First Lady making introductions, opening doors, there are going to be a lot of questions about that.
Is over hours from now.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions about the finances as well. And the internet started to dig into this. So shout out to this guy named JTC53 over there on X. He is a Michigan patriot. Man, shout out to our Michigan patriots. And he posted this. He said, Hillary says in her Epstein deposition today, I had no idea about their criminal activities. But that's strange because Clinton Foundation was not only involved in child trafficking, but Hillary's brother, called Tony, did all the money laundering for them and Epstein. Says the Clintons are criminals, remember that. And we do remember that from Hillary's tenure up in the federal government. What difference at this point does it make? And then they made the whole Arab Spring thing all about some video when it never was. It was about Hillary's failures. And so this was a clip here that we see that was part of this report, now unclassified. And here's just an excerpt. It says, previous reports have been sent since 2007 to your office about a myriad of issues, including child trafficking in Thornhill, Ontario, by Epstein. Now, these reports over the years have been in regards to numerous individuals, Jorge and Carmen, who are in prison, as well as others, about the kidnapping and deaths of people and extensive daycare and adoption rings and more, and other child trafficking. And here's this documented, says this is in regards, this report, now unclassified, about money laundering and money movement of Epstein and Clinton Foundation money. And as soon as the Clintons were out of power, Hillary lost that election in 2016 to Trump because he beat the crap out of her. Of course, all the money dried up. Where'd the funds go? Yeah, it was paying off the Clintons. Who did this? Anthony Rodham, using an accountant naming Stephen Ross of Winstar Equities over many years. Winstar is a Canadian company for tax sheltering large sums. Ross is the CEO of Winstar. He's 61 years old, a twin with a brother named Joel Ross, and the wife's name is in there, has bragged many times of Tony Rodham, Clinton's bro, who has moved huge sums of money and on the Rodham's behalf into the Caribbean area during the early 2000s. Since Tony Rodham has since recently mysteriously passed away, some people say he was swapped in for Epstein, which is crazy. It seems important to, like his body, literally, it seems important to understand that S. Ross and the connection for your investigators at this time, S. Ross would be the only other person other than Rodham to know where the money is buried, so as to speak. So I hope this information is helpful. This could be a violation of public corruption, white collar crime. Looks like a complaint submitted in and now reported on by this Michigan patriot. So the Clinton Foundation money and all of, remember the Haitian earthquake and how they went in there, like, we're going to rebuild everything. And then the Haitians are like, where's anything? Because there is nothing. So then they said, oh, let's bring him here. Let's bring him here and shove him in Minnesota. Great. So that was one find from the interwebs. Here's another one from Merlin Capital. Says Hillary told Congress today that she never met Epstein. Weird. But in 2015, Epstein attended the Hillary Clinton fundraiser, described as very intimate, put on by Howard Lutnick, who's currently in the Trump administration. Perjury under oath warrants an arrest. Look at this email from Leslie Groff. Leslie Groff was one of the Epstein traffickers who was still running around free in America. She got a non-prosecution agreement for Epstein. Her name was tucked in there so that she could not be prosecuted as a co-conspirator. We've articulated this many times. That non-prosecution agreement only applies to Florida. Maxwell, I would say, was also covered by that in Florida. She appealed it all the way up to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said, no, Maxwell can be prosecuted in New York, which is where she is currently being prosecuted. And then that opens up the possibility that Leslie, Nadia Marcinkova, Adriana Ross, and all of the other co-conspirators like Robeson, who was brought to the State of the Union by Ro Khanna, all of them can be prosecuted. They were named as co-conspirators. Leslie was named in the draft indictment before the sweetheart plea deal came down. Still running around free, frolicking around America like nothing happened. So she sent this email over to Jeffrey Epstein, November 3rd, 2015. Trump is not the president yet. We still got Barry Obama. Subject, November 11th, Hillary Clinton event at the Cantor Fitzgerald location from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. And Lutnick, of course, is the purveyor of Cantor Fitzgerald. He's all over the files. So they attach a bunch of images and other things. And look at this one from Matthew Gilbert and Christopher Petrock. Subject, November 11th, Hillary Clinton event at Cantor Fitzgerald. And this is curious. Leslie, to Epstein, begins a forward of this invite to Epstein. It's a Hillary Clinton event. Leslie's forwarding it to Jeff so he can go. I would like to invite you to attend a very intimate fundraising event with Hillary Clinton from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 at the Cantor Fitzgerald offices at this address in November. Please RSVP. So we don't know if Hillary met him there. We don't know if Jeffrey Epstein ultimately showed up to that event. But looks like Lutnick, right here from Howard Lutnick, was inviting Epstein to meet with Hillary. So maybe they should bring him in and ask him some questions about that. Were you there, Howard? Did you meet Jeffrey in the same building that Clinton was? That would be very nice to hear from him, because then he could be the person who's a witness against Hillary Clinton, since he invited them both and hosted an event for Hillary Clinton at his offices. And then he's walking around smiley all over the State of the Union. Ridiculous. All right, so that is an email from Leslie Groff to Jeffrey Epstein. And looks like Epstein got the invite. Whether he showed up or not, we don't know. But Hillary was hosting a very intimate fundraising event. So I would guess that if he did show up, they met, obviously, which is why Howard invited him. So it continues. We move on. And here was another example of Hillary smashing other women who were accusing her husband. Our friend Maze Moore, who does great reporting on this and everything, said Hillary Clinton used to attack and shame the women who had accused Bill Clinton of sexual assault. Over years later, of course, years later, she denied doing that at all. And here is one excerpt.
What role, if any, did you play in criticizing the character of the women who have accused Bill of sexual misconduct?
None.
None.
If somebody's willing to pay you $130,000 or $170,000 to say something, and you get your 15 minutes of fame, and you get your picture on the front page of every newspaper, and you're some failed cabaret singer who doesn't even have much of a resume to fall back on, and what's there she's lied about. You know, that's the daughter of Willie Horton, as far as I'm concerned.
What role?
Wow. You're some cabaret dancer. In other words, shaming the other women who Bill Clinton victimized. Now she wants to fast forward and release these statements like, I've been fighting for all women all the time. Well, a lot of those women say that Clinton abused them. And Clinton, as we saw, was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein, another prolific abuser of women, shaking hands. Who's in the White House 17 times? Oh, Epstein was. You think Hillary Clinton was also in the White House one of those times and happened to pop in there and shake hands with Jeff? I would guess so. And look who else is there. Oh, yeah, it's Ghislaine Maxwell. Isn't that fun? So she's also shaking hands. 17 times in the White House. Hillary Clinton, every single time she was out gardening or something else. Of course, not doing anything in close proximity to him. So she's a liar, obviously. She's just getting away with it. And here's another one from Gain of Fauci over on X. Shout out to all of the interwebs for digging up these posts for us. Hillary said, I don't recall ever meeting Jeffrey Epstein. Well, Jeffrey said Hillary Clinton is much prettier in person, which is shocking, actually. Yeah. So here's this back and forth. You can see this email exchange from Jeffrey Epstein to somebody else redacted about a meeting today. Jeffrey sent this back to September 20th, 2011, 6:18 in the morning. Says in response to this email, this one was at 9:16 on the 20th. And then that's 6:18. Here, let's see. Meeting has been added with the CEO of Unilever. Not sure I'll be able to make it to get there in time, but I am free after lunch with Eva, probably the other one who may have sold her daughter to Epstein. Oh my gosh. What's your afternoon like? He says, no problem. Let's go for a walk when you are finished with Eva. So she responds, whoever this person is, and says, high heels. Walk. No. That's Epstein. Epstein then responds, or somebody writes, from Epstein, says the car will pick you up. This one looks like it's from this recipient. High heels, walk not a great idea. You could carry me. Does Eva live close to you? And says, hey, Hillary Clinton is much prettier in person. All right. So again, we don't know really what the context is. Is this because this person is bringing Hillary? Hillary Clinton is much prettier in person. Then it looks like Epstein says, the car will pick you up. Eva is on 85th and 5th. Roger that, cruising with JoJo. So this one's a little bit harder, I think, to interpret. High heels, walk. She doesn't want to walk. You could carry me. Does Eva live close to you? Don't know who this person is. Hey, Hillary Clinton's much prettier in person. So is he going to meet with her in person? Like that's an excuse for him? We know how much you like women. You think Hillary's hideous, but if she comes in person, then it'll be good. Car will pick you up. And we don't know if she's bringing Hillary or if this is just an offhand comment. You know how these go. There's a lot of on the phone calls and then they follow up in emails. So Hillary Clinton is much prettier in person. Did Jeffrey Epstein see her there? And this may be being interpreted as though Epstein said that, but I'm not sure that he did. I think that this person who's redacted did. So the car will pick you up almost like, hey, come meet with us. Come meet with Hillary. Come meet with Ava. Come meet with CEO of Unilever. This is 2011. So is Hillary in these meetings? Who knows? September 20th, 2011. Then this person responds back to Epstein. Roger that. Cruising with JoJo. Don't know who JoJo is. But Hillary's in the files yet again. Now, the other real concern of this is that, of course, Bill Clinton was flying all over the place with Jeffrey Epstein. We've seen many photos of him, and he's coming back tomorrow for his deposition. Well, he'll have his turn under the microphone and spotlight. An excerpt from the flight logs. Right there, President William J. Clinton. We've also seen the photos. Bill Clinton getting the massage in the airport. Bill Clinton getting a swimming pool session with Ghislaine Maxwell floating around. Can't really see what's going on under the water there, nor do you want to. But then, same as above on another flight. Same as above on another flight. And an excerpt from, looks like a redacted police report. Says someone's an emergency physician. They were doing a fellowship at Johns Hopkins. There was a contract with the Secret Service to provide support for Bill Clinton. In September 2002, Redacted was on Epstein's private plane. On the jet with them was President Bill Clinton, his staffers David Slade and Doug Bland, 4 to 5 Secret Service agents, Kevin Spacey, Chris Tucker, Ronald Others, and Ghislaine Maxwell. There were also about 4 young women aged 20 to 22 years old. What a bunch of pervs. Including so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. This woman was a masseuse and was a model, and one of the other young women described herself as a ballerina. Says the reason for this trip was HIV research, which is just like... You mean like they're going to give each other HIV in their giant disgusting orgies or something? They spent 10 days flying to 7 different countries and more. Then they flew back commercial from Mozambique when he was told his services were no longer needed, this person. When this person returned from the trip, he thought of how weird Epstein was, as he was quiet and super wealthy, of which no one knew where to get his money. Someone else thought it was weird that Epstein flew with his former girlfriend, Maxwell, and 4 other women that no one knew why they were there. What was their purpose? We know. Redacted had asked Redacted what Epstein did for a living. Someone said no one really knows. Spacey gave awkward hugs, of which someone learned that Spacey was gay. And then someone and Clinton had a conversation on the plane, which seemed to be continued conversation from a previous time. Redacted, who could that person be? And Clinton talked afterwards, and Clinton told Bledsoe that he and Redacted had been talking about philosophy and religion. Yeah. Spoke and so referred to Epstein as her boyfriend. And someone else seemed offended, asking why he would think that Epstein was her boyfriend. Then Redacted described the jet with the cockpit up front. Then a seating area where Clinton and his staff sat. A kitchenette, back seating area with couches, a bedroom in the far back with a sliding wooden door. Redacted saw Redacted sitting on the couch between the sliding door. She shut the door. It was very obvious to so-and-so that this person did not want him to see or hear what was going on in that bedroom on the airplane. Sick, man. It's gross. Could you imagine being on an airplane with a bunch of your friends and they're just like, hey, we're just going to go back here and like bang each other out. You're like, it's a small airplane. We don't want any part of that going on. Just get a parachute and jump right out of there. Someone witnessed Epstein grab and rub someone's butt. They're all on this plane. Bill Clinton, the former president, on this plane, while Epstein and his disgusting cretins are out there doing whatever they're doing. And everybody's just looking the other way. Because they know, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to say about it? I'm going to do it. I'm going to make you watch and listen and smell it. And you're all just going to have to sit there and take it. Bill Clinton's on the plane, according to multiple witnesses. They flew out of JFK. And I know it's not Hillary, but is Hillary, she's his wife. Shouldn't she be wondering, where's my husband at today? What's he doing on this airplane? They flew out of JFK, traveled to Ghana, Nigeria, Rwanda, probably gave everyone AIDS over there. The official delegation met them. They attended official dinners. Clinton gave multiple speeches for HIV research. He's like, I did a lot of research on the plane. I've definitely got it now. To raise more funding and raise awareness. Epstein then followed the president around, attending meetings with him. Doug had worked out an agreement with Epstein. This other person described herself as a former model who worked for a modeling agency. This other person was on the trip at the request of the agency and was there to scout girls. Okay, so Bill Clinton is on an airplane where they are scouting girls from foreign countries. They're traveling all around for modeling and using HIV discussion to talk about this while they're engaged in disgusting behavior on the airplane. Bill Clinton is on. It's like a frat party of college kids. Not even that. I mean, they have more respect than that. Here, this person did not see her meet with anyone. So Redacted was from LA and had been to someone's house parties on this trip. This person was a masseuse and told this one that she'd been to a lot of celebrity houses. Bill Clinton's on that airplane and Hillary knows nothing about it. Nope, no idea. It's all Bill. So we'll see what Bill says when he comes back tomorrow, but obviously there is a lot going on there. Bill Clinton is on an airplane where it sounds like they're having intercourse. They have girls who are probably being trafficked, even if they're overage, for this type of illegal misconduct. They're overseas. So are they engaging in prostitution? Is Bill hooking up with them too? Are they taking turns in the bedroom? It's disgusting. These people are sick. So here is more. Zero Hedge came across something pretty interesting. Like, I think the Epstein files obviously are going to continue to be the subject for a long time because more evidence is coming out and the DOJ, for whatever reason, has not been forthcoming about it. But Zero Hedge, you know who they are. They went and got themselves the Nest cameras. They keep saying there were no cameras on Epstein's properties. Okay, stop being a conspiracy theorist. Turns out he had a Nest camera. Do you know who else had digital cameras? Nancy Guthrie in Arizona, her family. And they didn't even have those cameras being recorded. And they went back and got very clear as day footage because they record everything. And they lie to us to say that they don't. But now these Nest camera emails have resurfaced. And this has been wild to see. So Zero Hedge was tagging the FBI. They said, hey, we're combing through these millions of pages of documents. And now looks like we found the truth that he actually had Nest cameras installed all over his properties. Let's go through some of these emails. August 15, 2015, 7:49. Hi, Jeremiah. I just checked in on the Nest app and see that the camera still isn't online. So I removed it from the account so you can re-add it. So it's like personal genius, tech support, trying to get these cameras installed. The next time you have a chance, please follow these steps. Download and install the app. When you're where the camera is, make sure the iPhone is on the island Wi-Fi network, okay? On the island Wi-Fi network. We're now located. Click the plus, click the QR code, enter the zip code, and then you should be able to view the camera. So I'm helping you set it up. Hey, he says, Jeremiah Ruan says, hey, thanks, James. We're getting the camera set up. Perfect. We nailed it. Hey, good day, all, he says. The Nest Cam is working, but there is no power by the shed. Danny E. will address it, and the camera will go back to the dock. Rich. P.S. James, will Rich be receiving all the notifications of these new cameras that we just installed? Another email from Rich. Rich Kahn is from HBRK Associates. He's in New York on the 4th floor on Lexington Avenue. He says, all right, more instructions. All right, so from James to Richard, says if he wants to see what's on the cameras, he's going to have to install the Nest Labs app. You may have this on your home. The camera will show up on the main screen. For the laptop, he can log in, use the same credentials, and the camera will show up right there. By the way, we can run as is right now and see live video, or we can add Nest Aware in the subscription and save 10 days or 30 days of video history online. 10 days, $100, 30 days, $300 a year. James C., your personal genius, certified support professional. So cameras now being installed. We carry on. So, okay, so Jeremiah back then continues. He responds. He says, we sent 4 different potential views for your approval. In addition, we also sent instructions for you to set up your iPhone and laptop. And what would you like to do? Do you want a 10-day history? Do you want a 30-day history, or what? 3, seeing both sides of the dock. So these are dock cams. When I download the app on the phone for a moment, I only see blue circling. They're working through it. Then Epstein, that's an email from Epstein right there. Hey, I'm seeing 3 both sides of the dock, but my app's not working, Jeffrey. I can't figure this out. So then his director of properties, because when you're this rich, filthy rich, you have people who manage your properties for you. And when I did catering, I'd go to these properties. I'm like, what the hell? Like your full-time job is to walk around the house and fix things? Yeah. Wow. All right. So he would say, here you go, from Jeremiah. Is the boss logging in with the new user ID and password? Redacted? Oh, we can't see the password. What is this password? And GenGen12? Is that the password? Could you log in to home.nest.com? James, any thoughts on this? I'm connecting both on the laptop and on the phone, trying to get these cameras working. Then we get here. They're still troubleshooting. Island technology is a little finicky, as you know. Not sure it is an internet speed issue. I just logged on from my home on a Mac using Time Warner Wi-Fi. I too see a blue circle spinning for a live feed. However, when I mouse over the dots, I can see the history with the timestamps. Then logged on from an iPad using Time Warner Wi-Fi, and I was able to see the live feed. James, any thoughts? Well, yeah, there's a delay. James responds. Copies Jeffrey Epstein and the property manager. All the Nest support documents say that delays in videos could be internet issues. Since other people are connecting to the camera, it's not the camera. On your home Mac, and you try Chrome, try a different browser. Is Jeffrey still at the ranch? Zorro's internet connection is high latency. Maybe that's it. Can he do a speedtest.net? I'd be curious to see what the ping and the download rates are. I have to do that too for the live streams. I used Firefox, says Richard Kahn, and I was successful. I was able to do that. Okay, so that's the backdrop. Now, they want the password and the username, and they ended up getting it. Zero Hedge says, actually, it's all good. We figured it out. He tagged the FBI. Can you remove the redactions on his Epstein Island Nest cam and password so we can log in? If not, can you subpoena the recordings from Nest so we can see all the cams from Google so that we can see whether Hillary's prancing around the island or not? Then they actually find the username and the password for the Nest account. It's amazing. Actually, it's all good. We figured it out. FBI, don't need your help. So they have it right here. So you see the password and the username was LSJ Island Manager. LSJ Island Manager at gmail.com, GenGen12. Camera will show up on the main screen. So they logged in, all right? They actually logged in on this, and they got a 2-factor authorization. And Zero Hedge was explaining this all day long. And let's come back to that. Let me see if I can find what I did with this post. But they ultimately end up logging in, and they post so much at Zero Hedge. But we have some other real good posts here from them that I'm seeing. And ultimately, they log in and they get a warning that they need the 2-factor authorization, right? So they have to come back and get approval, enter the code like you get on your cell phone in order to access the account, but they can't do that because they're not on his account. So it's out there somewhere on Zero Hedge's account, but he posts like 100 million times a day. And so I don't have it queued up. I thought I did. My apologies. But they actually then log in. It sends them the 2-factor account, and that's the game. So we want to know if they can go get Nancy Guthrie's attackers, allegedly, person in there and reconstitute that video footage. Maybe they can do the same for the island. Now, here was another email, courtesy of Zero Hedge. He says, here was another one, September 20th, 2015. To Jeffrey Epstein from somebody else. Oh, Hillary's in trouble. I know you were close with Hillary, but if she gets the nomination and you vote for her, I'll effing kill you. Well, I mean, Hillary was very polarizing. I wonder who that was. I think I converted Frog from liberal, or maybe BO did. Don't know who that person is, but that's weird. Hillary says, I don't know the guy, never met him, nothing to do with him. Turns out she may have been at Howard Lutnick's fundraiser where he invited Epstein to go hang out with Hillary. She go to that? She should have been there. It's her fundraiser, so I'm sure she was there. Did Jeffrey go to that? Maybe Howard knows the answer to that. But someone else, we'd like to know who this is. I know you were close with Hillary. That's weird. How can he be close with Hillary if Hillary's not close with him? Is he imagining it? But if she gets the nomination and you vote for her, I'll effing kill you. Well, she got the nomination. Don't know how Epstein voted. Probably did vote for her since they're so close. I think I converted Frog from a liberal, or maybe BO did. And I don't even know what the heck that means. But another email, Hillary's a liar. So here we continue. And this one, another photo of the day. This is the one that was posted by Benny, leaked by Boebert. And another email saying in this one, from Jeffrey Epstein to Olivier Colum regarding something else. Starting back here. Le Groupe Edmond de Rothschild, right? The Rothschild family, the big bankers who are probably helping Epstein move his money around. Epstein got the Rothschilds through Catherine Rumler, Obama's White House counsel, Obama's top lawyer, got them a sweetheart plea deal, essentially a non-prosecution deal, when they were helping other individuals launder money in their foreign banks. Epstein, I think he made, what was that, $25 million for brokering this deal. Catherine Rumler and the others got paid, I think, $10 million. And then the bank only had to pay a small fee as part of a non-prosecution agreement. So the Rothschild family's all over this. Now, could you organize, says someone, Olivier Colum, could you organize a discreet meeting between Sarko and Hillary Clinton in New York? Hillary Clinton was a senator from New York. Remember, Epstein had a mansion in New York right next door to Lutnick. If not, who should we ask? Epstein says, you know, meetings with Hillary are not easily discreet. Takes a lot of work with her to meet her in private, so no one knows about it. When would you like the meeting to be? So how is Epstein now organizing meetings with Hillary and her people if Hillary and her people have nothing to do with Epstein? How would he be able to accomplish that? Because she's a liar. That's why. So there's more. Now, in the actual prosecution, it's not over yet. This is the United States versus Maxwell, District Court, Southern District of New York, in which Maxwell was originally prosecuted. And we covered this whole trial at length. You thought maybe it's over. It isn't. And now the court has received yet another motion from the DOJ. Maxwell's trying to get out of custody. And a lot of people are questioning whether Maxwell is currently in custody based on the shape of the nose, based on the blacked out eye, face got a little bit fatter, and looks and sounds strange. But we'll leave that for another day. But there was a new letter filed by the DOJ yesterday. Said, Dear Judge, all right, the government is now respectfully submitting for public filing pursuant to your order back in December and your other January 6th order and your other January 12th order, a redacted version of Maxwell's motion. Maxwell filed a petition for a writ of habeas corpus, just like the illegal aliens, saying, I'm being illegally detained. She wants her conviction and her sentence all vacated, and she submitted thousands of pages of materials. So the DOJ went through, redacted a bunch of the materials, and has now added them to the docket. And here is what we've got. So hundreds and hundreds of pages. First of all, this was Maxwell's original petition. We read through this whole thing some time ago. And in summary, she's filing this on her own. So she, of course, doesn't have lawyers. She's basically saying her lawyers did a terrible job and they need to reverse the conviction. A huge part of this is about bad jurors. We had a juror who lied during voir dire and said he wasn't a victim of abuse, then got on the jury panel and then suddenly was telling all of the other jurors he's a victim of abuse. And pointing out that he, as a victim, understands credibility issues. So he's basically vouching for the other witnesses who were brought on the stand to testify against Maxwell. So she submits this whole thing. It's 64 pages. We read it. It's actually quite good if it's really pro se from her. Bunch of different points. Remember, point one, just to hit the highlights, juror misconduct. Okay, juror 50, Scotty David. He said, I'm not a victim of abuse, got on the panel, then started telling everyone he's a victim of abuse, so he knows better than they do. Then grand jury testimony said also violations of due process there, saying that the massage table, which was used as evidence that established interstate commerce, they actually used a table. She says it's not the table. Like that was never even a piece of furniture that we had at all. So she goes on, I think it's like 7 points. Point 3, the government violated due process by allowing the victims' lawyers to act as prosecutors, right? All these victims were suing and providing evidence back to the prosecutors, and then Maureen Comey ultimately prosecuted this case, James Comey's daughter, as part of a mop-up operation. How come these leftists, Comey and Maureen Comey, James and others, they were prosecuting Ghislaine Maxwell? Now they're saying this is some sort of a Republican cover-up. James Comey's daughter covered the whole thing up. Prosecuted Maxwell, kept it nice and cabined off, no other co-conspirators even considered, no financial crimes investigated at all. The whole thing wrapped up with a bow and set aside because it was a mop-up operation. Now they're turning around and blaming the Trump administration for it. So again, there's multiple points here. She's saying, let me out, let me out, let me out, if she's not already out. Lots of things now redacted, talking about the non-prosecution agreement, Annie Farmer, questions about her, and the list goes on and on. Okay, so this is her entire filing. The DOJ redacted it, resubmitted it. I honestly think we read it before it was redacted at all, so that video is on our channel still somewhere. But we read through it, and so we don't need to spend a lot of time on it. But as part of this new submission, we have another hundreds and hundreds of pages of documents. So this is 474 pages. This is Exhibit 69. In this one exhibit, it's an article about Prince Andrew, who, as we know, was arrested over there in the UK. Here's the infamous photo of them. There's Maxwell. And she cites that as an exhibit. But what's more interesting are these Exhibit 70 flight logs. And look what's inside here. Look at some of these names. On the airplane, JEGE Inc., passenger manifest, part of Maxwell's submissions. And she's saying that there were a bunch of people on this plane. These are redacted, don't know who these people are. And, you know, it's kind of ridiculous. Like a lot of these literal co-conspirators who are trafficking women to Epstein, like Leslie Groff, Nadia Marcinkova, Adriana Ross, and the others, they are now claiming to be victims. So their names are completely redacted. And so we can't even trace them and follow them around because the people who were named in the original draft indictment now suddenly are victims, which is weird because they were in the indictment. They were about to be charged. Then they covered them up in a non-prosecution agreement. It doesn't apply to them outside of New York. That's outside of Florida. That's already been determined. But we're still redacting their names for whatever reason. So Lance Galloway is here. Igor Zinoview. We've got John Someone, JP, and Walter Cronkite on the airplane. Walter Cronkite. So we got other redactions, and look who this is right here. Reid Hoffman. Dun, 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 dun. And that looks like it's going to St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands. Wow. So you're departing Palm Beach International at West Palm Beach. You're arriving in St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands, and Reid Hoffman is on the airplane. Now, my thought was that he said he never went to the island. Looks like per the flight manifest, he's on the island, at least on St. Thomas, and then hops aboard a little boat or a helicopter and flies over to the island. Reid. And this guy's spending so much money to cover this up because he knows what he did. He's on the list. Josie Ito along with Epstein. Who else we got on the planes? 9/19/2013. You've got Erie Roth, Miguel, just Miguel. Dave Rogers is also on the airplane. And then we continue. Here's more. Soon Yi Preview goes from from Palm Beach to New Jersey. Epstein's on there, and Woody Allen. Wow, another one. Woody Allen, the actor. He travels over to New Jersey. He's on the airplane. Then we continue on. We got Dan Garofalo, Eric Roth. Some of these names are not ringing bells, but they may for you. These we know. Ehud Barak, Israeli prime minister. So him and his wife hop on an airplane, and they go from West Palm Beach over to Tampa. Little jaunt over there. 10 passengers on the plane. Couple security people for the Baraks. Then we've got Steve Hansen and other redacted names. So these are either victims or co-conspirators. So why are co-conspirators on the airplane, or why are victims on the airplane with the former Israeli prime minister hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. Concerning. It continues. Jeffrey Epstein, Gregory Riches on the airplane, Steve Hansen, one female, great. And here's more. Prince Andrew also on the airplane. Jeffrey didn't ride on this one, but this one picked up Ghislaine Maxwell, Krasnaski, and Ghislaine Maxwell all on the airplane. Another one, Larry Morrison, David Mullen, and one random female. You don't need names for females when you're actually trafficking women for them. So whatever, just a woman, get her on here. Then you got James Staley and another Stanley. David Mullen's on the airplane and another David Mullen with another random female and other victims. Sounds like they're redacted. Epstein, multiple victims or perhaps co-conspirators. Once again, for some reason, they're redacting the co-conspirators because they say that they're victims because they were young or something, even though they were, became older and continued their trafficking. They got paid a lot of money to satisfy this man. David Mullen, Alex, no last name, and Larry Summers. Yeah, Obama's Treasury Department. It's like libs all over the place. So here's more. Vladson, Mark Tafoya, Igor Zinoview, Igor Zinoview, and look at this one. Uh-oh. Bill Gates right there. Bill Gates. Yeah. The guy who's really concerned about overpopulation and wants everybody to get multiple jabs of his pharmaceuticals. Leslie Groff is the person who got sent this one from an AOL account. Charlotte Amalie Census Subdistrict. Here's a picture, and it looks like Bill Clinton and Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein on the same plane together with some random passenger. Don't know who that is or why they have to redact all that stuff for us. But there it is, Bill Gates and Epstein. And where'd they go? They departed New Jersey, flew back to Palm Beach, and were hanging out all over the place. There's another one, Woody Allen and his wife with a bunch of victims, presumably. 4 different victims on the airplane participating in the trafficking. All this came out in Maxwell's submissions. And there is another one right there. How do we rotate this puppy? Okay, let's do a little rotation here so we can see this. How can I? Oh, there it is. Let me just click this button right here. Bum, ba, bum. There it is. Here you see 11/9/2003. Right there. Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, President Clinton. Clinton. It's Bill Clinton. He's on the airplane. Justin, IRA, Samuel, Joe, Michael Fangin, and another flight, Maxwell. All these people redacted. Bill Clinton's on the plane. I don't know why else they're redacting these people. It's got to be victims, right? So Bill Clinton is on the airplane with trafficking victims. Great job there, Bill. He got Brent Tyndall, Chris Lambrose, Tom Payette. We've got Ghislaine, Roger, Glenn, and Eva. And I think Glenn and Roger, they might be Epstein employees. I think they may have been actually airplane pilots, but maybe catching a ride. But they flew 105,000 miles together. And here is more. Can they just keep these aligned appropriately for us, please, so we can read them? Here's another one. Of course, redacted. 2 Brazilians, great. Matt Groening, the Simpsons guy, was on flight 252. Another person and a boyfriend, all redacted. More Prince Andrew. John-Luc Brunel, Brian Higgins, Craig Overlander, more John-Luc Brunel, maybe coming back. And you see, they're everywhere. Maxwell, Doug Bands, flight itineraries all listed. So Maxwell's got a lot of the goods too, and she's dumping these in. And then the rest of the pages are essentially just transcripts. And that looks like it might be the plea deal. Yeah, that is the plea deal. Remember this ridiculous plea deal? Let me show you. Let me see. Did they redact these names in here? This is the non-prosecution agreement. And we're looking for the names, which are definitely in here somewhere, if I can find them. There they are. Yeah, these are the 4 other women who are actual potential co-conspirators. Sarah Kellen, Adriana Ross, Leslie Groff, Nadia Marcinkova. And their names have been redacted historically, but they're not redacted on this document signed by Epstein. Those are 4 women who are running around America who are traffickers who are totally free. So Maxwell is submitting documents. She's trying hard to get out. I'm not sure that it's going to go anywhere because they don't want to let her out. She, of course, is the keystone that closes this whole thing down. But here's what else she submitted. All right, so 474 pages, just hitting the highlights, showing you what's inside. Lots more redaction. Ooh, what's this down here? Didn't see all that. Ooh, full pages redacted. You better be careful here. What's this? Electronic witnesses, part of the court record, it looks like. All right, that's good. So hundreds and hundreds of pages have all been submitted as part of her attempts to get out of here, and more transcripts, but it continues. That's just one document. Here's another one, 266 pages, court reporters, transcripts, and she's making her case that she needs to be let out immediately. And here's the last one, Exhibit 1 that came out, more transcripts, lots to go through. All right, so Maxwell submitted all that to the court, and now we're wondering what happened at the actual deposition. And Hillary came out. She's live right now. Oh, let's listen to this.
Didn't seem to me to be very productive. And then, as I said, toward the end, you know, there were other questions that were totally off subject. So if they are going to fulfill their responsibilities to literally investigate the investigations, which is what they originally said was the scope of their work, I think they could have spent the day more productively.
Madam Secretary, what was your reaction? Madam Secretary.
She's taking questions. Interesting.
Maxwell invited the daughter of Chelsea Clinton's wedding in 2012. She'd already been mentioned in a civil lawsuit by Virginia Chief before that. Jeffrey Epstein had already been convicted before that.
She came as the +1, the guest of someone who was invited.
Madam Secretary, could you tell us your reaction, please, to the photos of your husband in the hot tub in the swimming pool? What message does it say that President Trump was not
I don't know when the video will be out. I don't know when the transcript will be out. We've asked that they be out as quickly as possible, and then you can see.
Madam
You can see
Secretary, what was your
everything.
reaction
Thank
to
you.
your husband's photos in the hot tub? We heard from Bill Gates concerns about Epstein trying to blackmail him.
Man, I think that was... It's appropriate it's at the Performing Arts Center because this whole thing is a giant performance for all of them. And I think that was Cara Castronova or somebody from Lindell TV who was shouting out about the hot tub photos of Bill Clinton floating around like a pervert with somebody else. So I'm surprised that Hillary came out and took some questions. I actually think that's the appropriate way to handle this. She's a little, acting strong in the face of all this. But here was Comer from just moments ago. Let's see what he had to say before Hillary came out. Okay, we're live, YouTube. We're live. Okay. And ready, go. Thank you.
Green jacket, move please, green jacket. Thank you.
All right, I want to thank everyone for standing out and braving the cold. Our deposition has concluded. It's a shame that it took 7 months to get Ms. Clinton in. She answered most of our questions. I'm going to let some of my colleagues lament on that, but we're going to not release too many details of what happened today. We're going to try to get the video out as quickly as possible, hopefully within the next 24 hours. That's a very long deposition, so as quick as we can get that video produced, we will get that out. The transcript will be released as soon as her attorneys approve it. That's the standard rules of a deposition, and I think that I think this was a productive deposition today. I think we learned a lot. There were a lot of questions that we asked that we weren't satisfied with the answers that we got, but we will continue to move forward. Any of my colleagues, every member of the committee asked questions. And
I would just say one of the things I learned today is if you really have specific questions about the Clinton Global Initiative or the relationship between the Clintons and Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, you got to ask Bill Clinton.
And that's a great
He'll be here
point.
tomorrow.
The number of times that she said, I don't know, you'll have to ask my husband. More than a dozen, and I'll put it like that.
If I can just
blame Bill.
Also, too, I think it's important to note that we have been working in a bipartisan fashion to make this as
painless as possible for the people that we're bringing in, but also to ensuring that there's accountability and transparency. You will hear a lot of spin, sometimes out of politicos in Washington, but the fact is that it's our goal and objective following this, and we also too did ask for follow-up from the Secretary on producing legislation that will help prevent this from ever happening again in the future, obviously working to combat trafficking, which has been a cause incredibly important, not just to myself, to Chairman Comer, to Representative Nancy Mace, but many members of this Oversight Committee. And so we are looking forward to continuing to provide that transparency. And Nancy, do you have anything?
First of all, I want to thank Secretary Clinton for being here for as many hours as she was here today. She took every question from every single member. I want to thank my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats alike, for being here today and asking questions. I very much look forward to speaking to her husband, former President Bill Clinton, tomorrow. We have a lot of work to do. Not surprised by some of the answers, surprised by some, and you'll get the transcript very soon, but I want to thank everyone who participated. This is nowhere near from over. And in making my notes today, I've got names of individuals that I believe we need to haul to the Oversight Committee and ask them questions, ask them their perspective, ask them about other potential witnesses or victims or potential predators. I think this is going to go on for a long time. There are millions of files. There are a lot of people involved. And some of the gaps that have been seen, especially early on, are very evident after speaking with her today. And I just want to thank everyone for their time. And we have a lot of work to do, and I'm willing to work with anyone who's willing to work with me. I'll work with you on getting to the bottom of this, making sure that this just doesn't ever happen again. And when it does, those predators are held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. Thank you.
So this is a nonpartisan issue. If you've read the Epstein files, there's unspeakable evil in there. And the American people and the victims deserve transparency and accountability. The biggest thing I think we need to know is how do we strengthen laws to prevent human trafficking in America, if not the world? And how does someone with such evil infiltrate the highest levels of the U.S. government and world leaders? So we're going to continue to ask those questions and get answers for the American people.
We'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Clinton said in her opening statement, if Republicans were serious about investigating Jeffrey Epstein, that you would call President Trump to testify. Why won't you?
Well, President Trump has answered hundreds, if not thousands, of questions from you all about Epstein, and I think he's been very transparent in releasing the documents. We expect hopefully more documents to come in. We're still assessing the 3 million plus documents that we have. We obviously will be moving on to the next phase and bringing more people in for questions. So again, remember, this was a bipartisan subpoena by members of both parties to bring in Ms. Clinton. And it's just a shame that it took 7 months. And I know every member of our committee has a big list of names they want to bring in. These are big, powerful people that hire very skilled law firms, and they delay, and part of when you delay in this investigation, it takes 7 months to bring a witness in like it did today. That creates a problem. So we're trying to move as quickly as we can. We're obviously following what's going on in the United Kingdom now. We're following everything. I know that there are a lot of eyes, and hopefully the media will play a role in this. The media has a role. The documents have been made public. We're going to continue to fight for more redactions. There are some names who are redacted. I think we all agree shouldn't be redacted.
Definitely
I don't think
not.
they're who you think they are.
Right.
So that's why we want those names.
Chairman, if I could just add in real quick to follow up on that, though, we asked specifically the victims, and we were all there, as well as the Speaker and the Democrat members of Congress, if the President was involved, and they exonerated him. So why would we bring in the President of the United States, who's been exonerated, who cooperated with law enforcement, and who released the files, when we had to fight? We basically threatened to hold the Clintons in contempt if they didn't want to come in. So to be clear, we had cooperation. We asked the victims directly, and he was exonerated. So I would encourage all of you to at least do the fair reporting and understanding that just like you would not publish false statements about the Clintons and some of the allegations that have been made about them, you would give the President of the United States the same respect.
And
he
he
also
also
went to
evidence is
law
leading
enforcement.
us.
Hey, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Coleman, can I ask?
Hold on a second, guys.
you-
Hold on. Mr. Chairman, President Trump has released more files than anyone during the Biden administration. 0 files, no DOJ involvement. He has secured the border, lowered human trafficking, and passed the House Republicans, and President Trump has passed the anti-human trafficking legislation just his first year.
Mr. Coleman, Mr. Coleman.
Effort of transparency, as you guys said moments ago, can you release any findings that were discussed today? You said some.
We're going to release that video, and you'll be able to see the whole thing as quick as we can get the video produced. But I think what will be interesting is some of the comments that Secretary Clinton made at the very end about Jeffrey Epstein. And I think that that would apply to others that you all obviously have an interest in too.
What did she say?
You said that Bill Clinton is the man to ask questions. Or
That's what Mrs. Clinton said many times today.
why bring Hillary Clinton along?
Again, for the 15th time, this was a motion made by Democrats and Republicans in a subcommittee on oversight. There were a list of people to bring in, and Bill and Hillary Clinton were on the list. And I'm glad we brought Hillary Clinton in because she's never really answered questions until in the last week about her relationship with Epstein and Maxwell. So she answered questions, and hopefully they'll be helpful as we move forward.
Chairman Comer, are you now satisfied?
On the Clinton Global Initiative, was that your main focus today with Secretary Clinton, and do you feel like you got the answers you were looking for?
Well, I don't want to disclose too much of what was said, but most of the questions that we asked about the Clinton Global Initiative, which were very specific questions, some of them were backed by emails and other documents that have been released by the Department of Justice.
Nice.
She said that she was a senator, and you would have to ask her husband that tomorrow.
Oh, so Bill.
We have a lot of questions for her husband tomorrow, and I'm confident that deposition will last even longer than this one.
Good.
Chairman
Thank
Comer,
you all.
are you
Thank you
now?
all.
All right, good. All right, so that was part 1. We'll have Clinton back for part 2 tomorrow. And as they were speaking, I found what I thought I had earlier, which was this post from Zero Hedge. And Zero Hedge has shared this one with us. And we have a little side-by-side over here. We don't really want that. But the heck did I just do? I'm having a real difficult time sharing this one with you guys. But here it is. Golly. It says Epstein's Nest account is still active. All we need is the 2-factor authorization code from his IT guy. All right, so they got the password that we shared earlier. It's islandmanager@gmail.com and GenGen12. So whoever has access to LSJ islandmanager@gmail.com, they now just got the 2-factor authorization code to get the whole island's cameras. And Epstein wanted a lot of cameras. We saw this post right here, which is showing us that he ordered it basically from his IT guy. He said, I would like to set up some HD cameras so I can log in and see from anywhere in the world back in 2014. Please research. His tech guy says, good day, boss. I started my research for HD 1080p surveillance cameras with web access. I found a few with 4 5-star ratings. I'm in the process of narrowing the search. Will an 8-camera system be enough to cover all locations you wish to survey, or will I need a device with more cameras? There's cameras all over the place. There's also rumors that Epstein had files stored around various locations in storage units around the country so that when his house got raided, those files weren't at the house. He decentralized his compromat. And other stories that he was even considering buying a military base near DC. The depth of this is insane, but Hillary Clinton came out, and of course, she's one of the biggest liars that we've ever seen in American government, lies shamelessly. And Bill Clinton, she blames him for everything. So this might be the downfall of me. Go ask my husband. Go ask my husband. Go ask my husband. Good news. We will. He'll be here tomorrow for his deposition, and we'll see what kind of lies that Slick Willie comes up with, because he's also very good at those. So thank you for joining us as we keep our eye on this. Thank you for subscribing. And on this story, we'll see you back here tomorrow. But we're not done yet. We've got some other good updates on the day. And then, of course, we're going to hear from you. But we were waiting for this one all week long. The Fulton fight now canceled. We were scheduled for an evidentiary hearing to battle over the ballots. We know the FBI came into Fulton County and got pallets full of them, loaded up a bunch of cars, took them back to the DOJ and FBI headquarters to review them for evidence of criminality. And there was a long back and forth on this all week. We know that the Fulton County commissioners, Rob Pitts and Che Alexander and all of Fannie's acolytes, were all there suing to get the files returned back to them. But today, the judge said, we're putting a pause on this, issued this new order explaining, you guys better get together. DOJ, FBI, and you Fulton County fraudsters, get together, work this out, let me know what you come up with. So the hearing will not be going on tomorrow. Here's why. Judge sent this one out today, named J.P. Boulay, the U.S. District Judge, issuing this new order in the case of Rob Pitts, Che Alexander, Fulton County Clerk of the Court, Fulton County Board of Commissioners, and all the rest of them. They sued civilly to get those ballots sent back to their direction. And the judge said, all right, hold on a minute. On January 28th, the judge explains, the FBI seized over 600 boxes of Fulton County's 2020 election records pursuant to a search warrant. Glorious day. Fulton County Board of Registrations and Elections, Rob Pitts, Che Alexander, they have all moved under criminal rules 41G to get those properties back. All the seized documents they want returned because it's damning and it destroys their claims of innocence. And any copies made of them, right? They don't want the DOJ to have them. We already know Che Alexander wanted these files wrecked, destroyed, put in the incinerator or the shredder or tucked under Fannie's mattress, whatever they could do to get rid of them. They just don't want the DOJ to have them because it's going to wreck their case. Here the rule says, a person aggrieved, in this case, Fulton says it's them, and it's a person, okay, not a county. A person aggrieved by an unlawful search and seizure, it wasn't unlawful, the judge signed a search warrant, or the deprivation of property, they're not even deprived of it because they wanted to destroy it anyways. Anyway, they may move for the return of the property. The motion must be filed in the district court where the property was seized. They did that. The court must receive evidence on any factual issue necessary to decide the motion. So if the judge thinks, I don't know what to do, then the judge needs to go hear evidence. It's a must, but it's not all evidence. It's only evidence necessary to decide the motion. So the judge actually has some discretion, even though there's a must there, because the judge could just say, I actually don't need that. It's not necessary to decide anything. I'm looking at the affidavit. I'm looking at a signed order by a judge that said, yeah, go get those files. And I don't need to see anything else. That was the argument the DOJ submitted yesterday. Now, if it grants the motion, the court must return the property to Fulton, but may impose reasonable conditions to protect access to the property and its use in later proceedings, which would be insane. So it's like giving Fulton all the ballots back and then letting the FBI go back into their warehouse where they have possession of them and then investigate the files in there. When a Rule 41G petition, writes the judge, is filed absent an ongoing criminal case, the petition is treated as a civil action in equity. And equity is the type of court of law where the court can order people to do certain things. So you're kind of balancing. It's like your mom. Give that back to your brother. Stop going into his room. Stop. Okay, all that type of stuff. You're equalizing the sides. So the court weighs things in an equitable fashion. What's fair? Courts consider 4 factors in this when they order the return of the property. Here's what we got. Factor 1. Did the government, in this case, did the DOJ, FBI, the seizure of the ballots, was that a callous disregard for the constitutional rights of the person to whom the property belongs? Obviously not. How can you callously disregard their constitutional rights when you literally go get permission from a judge? You're not disregarding it at all. You're going to get permission. And that's not callous. That's the ordinary process. Number 2, whether the plaintiff, in this case, Rob Pitts and the Fulton fraudsters, has an individual interest in the need for the material. They don't need them. They say they're closed. Well, they do need them because it's evidence of their criminality, and they really don't want the government to have those things. We know the files, according to the affidavit and the witnesses inside the affidavit, were modified. in 2024. So you give them the files back, they're going to go in there and change everything to cover up for their crimes. Number 3, whether the plaintiff, the Fulton fraudsters, would be irreparably injured if they don't get the property back. Completely ridiculous. How could they be injured? They already wanted them destroyed. The injury is going to be jail. So that's going to be a problem for them, but that's not the type of injury we're talking about. And 4, whether the plaintiff, in this case, the Fulton fraudsters, have an adequate remedy at law to redress this grievance. And of course they do. They can go file to quash the warrant or whatever. They're not doing that. The parties briefly, their briefs, strongly dispute whether these factors are satisfied in this case. Pitts and Fulton, they say, yeah, we've done all of the check. The DOJ just went through like we did and said, insane. So the court says, where a movement shows that all the factors weigh in his favor, so Pitts wins, Rule 41G contemplates both the return of the property and the imposition of, quote, reasonable conditions to protect access to the property and its use in later proceedings by the government. So if we have to give you those back, what are we going to do? We're going to lock them up in Fanny's mattress? Are we going to go put them back in Nadine Williams's closet or Che Alexander? These people are fraudulent. So what do we do to protect those records? If I have to give you the files back, are we going to put armed guards out there? Or FBI agents going to be there 24/7? Are we going to have cameras live streaming to monitor people going in, touching the ballots, deleting the SHA files and whatever? This is because Rule 41G is not intended to deny the United States the use of the evidence permitted by the Fourth Amendment and federal law, even if the evidence might have been unlawfully seized. Okay, we can come back and adjudicate this later. Somebody gets charged here. Rob Pitts, Nadine Williams, Fannie Willis, Nathan Wade, pick one. Some election workers who were stuffing ballots. We find somebody. They can challenge their criminal prosecution. They can say the search warrant was illegal and any fruits are fruits of the poisonous tree and all the evidence should be suppressed and the case should be dismissed. But that can come later. And right now, the argument is it's a legitimate investigation signed off on by 2 judges in this case for the search warrant. Now, therefore, they write, Rule 41G, therefore, avoids an all or nothing approach. Okay, so Fulton, even if you win, and you want all these ballots back, you still can't preclude the government from looking at them. It's not all or nothing, whereby the government must either return the records and make no copies or keep originals, notwithstanding the hardship to the owner. Now, as explained by the advisory committee that helped write these rules, courts can order documents and records that are relevant to ongoing or contemplated investigations and prosecutions returned to the owner as long as the government preserves a copy for future use. So in short, judge says, the spirit of Rule 41G is one of compromise. You're supposed to work together. Now, explaining in this case called Ramsden, 9th Circuit 1993 case, explaining the most appropriate outcome is to allow the movement to retain the originals. So in this case, Fulton would get all of them back, but to ensure the federal government has copies of the documents. We're talking about millions of ballots. So given that returning the property with conditions rather than fully restricting access to the evidence. So in other words, Fulton does not want that. Fulton wants everything back. They don't want the government to look at it or touch it or do anything with it because they know it's going to lead to their jail. Say that is the standard practice. Okay, so even if I grant you the motion, Fulton, you can't preclude them from having it. So since this is the case, the court now would like the parties to mediate this dispute. Judge, mediate? The court therefore orders the parties to mediation, which is not going to get solved because Fulton doesn't want to mediate. They want to prevent the government from having evidence of their crimes. That's it. So see the rules. They say in doing so, the court does not make any ruling as to the equitable factors. So what's fair, what's not fair. The court recognizes that there is a directive that the court must receive evidence on any factual issue necessary to decide this. But in light of all of this, the court believes it is best for the parties to work toward a mutually agreeable resolution before I receive additional evidence. This is so weak. The judge is just kicking the can down the road rather than making a hard decision. The judge should have said, You guys lose. We went through the 4 factors. Fulton, this is ridiculous. You don't have any basis to get these records back at all under 41G. It wasn't callous disregard. You fail on that. You don't even have individual interest in these records because these are records of the government. And 3, whether the plaintiff is irreparably injured, you're not. You said you weren't even touching the files, except you were. We know you were modifying them. And 4, you do have an adequate remedy of law. You can go try to quash the warrant and go deal with this criminal case in the other courts. But they want to bypass all that and go through a 41G filing and with a separate judge. So this judge, I think, honestly, didn't want to rule against them. And so this is like the backstop for that. If he throws Rob Pitts and Fulton County out, which they should be thrown out, then their case is over. So he just wants to just kind of continue it on and allow this back and forth and have mediation in order to come to some agreement. I don't know what that's going to be. I mean, the DOJ could just say, oh yeah, no, we've got everything. We don't need these anymore. We've scanned everything. We have evidence of the crimes. We're going to keep some of these originals and we've got our prosecution ready to go. Here's the evidence that we don't need back, something like that. But as it stands, the hearing that we were going to have tomorrow, which we were looking forward to covering on February 27th, is hereby continued. Means postponed, but practically it's canceled. So the parties are ordered to confer about the selection of a mediator. So some other third party is going to come in here and say, here's what I think should happen. What do you think? We're not going to do that. What do you think? We're definitely not going to do that. And back and forth we'll go. If the parties are unable to agree on a mediator by March 4th, the court will appoint one. Once the mediator is selected, then you'll have until March 18th to conduct mediation and report to the court whether mediation was successful. And it's not going to be, I can't imagine it's going to be successful because this is like a blood sport at this point. No one's trying to negotiate anything. If the Fulton County people say, well, okay, we'll take some of these files back or have a deal, then they're going to be acquiescing to their own demise. In this case, the government maintaining and preserving evidence of their criminality. So I don't think that's going to happen. But the silver lining on this, one, is that we don't have an evidentiary hearing tomorrow. That was ridiculous. And hauling in an FBI agent to come in and testify about all these things, even though he already filled out an affidavit twice, submitted it to the judges twice, and got signed off on it twice. That's valid. We don't need to be putting the FBI and the DOJ through this, and also then telegraphing what the future prosecution might look like, right? Because you'll put the FBI agent on the stand. The Fulton County lawyers will then go ask questions and try to wreck the case at this outset, and then take the evidence from this hearing, which is in a separate matter, and use it back over in the actual criminal prosecution. So the judge is not going to allow that to happen. And the other benefit, I would call it a win, is that now they've got until March 18th now, right? They're still scanning the files. So as we said earlier, hopefully the prosecutors out there and the FBI agents are giving this full gusto and reviewing everything as rapidly as possible and assembling their case just in case something like this happens and they have to give the actual evidence back. But not anytime soon. So that hearing will be vacated tomorrow and we'll cover something else. But of course, that was a nice development on the day. We also saw this. You're seeing a lot of this ridiculous nonsense coming in from these lawyers. They submitted this in the case, a brief of bipartisan former Justice Department officials as amici curiae in support of the Fulton fraudsters. Carrie Dunn, that name sounds familiar. Who is that guy? Carrie R. Dunn. Oh, we remember him. Yeah! We remember him. Amazing. What a bunch of, these people are just the worst. They try to hide like nobody looks them up. Here we go. Carrie Dunn, this guy, American lawyer. He's known for leading the criminal investigation of Donald Trump in Manhattan. Oh, it's such a scam. He resigned like a baby along with his scummy partner called Mark Pomerantz. Remember these two goobers? They threw a hissy fit. Alvin Bragg won. He said, we're not going to prosecute anybody. And then they resigned. Mark Pomerantz wrote a whiny, ranty, bitchy little book about it. And then Dunn, Carrie Dunn, you remember what this guy looks like too. Here's this dude right here. Carrie Dunn. Remember him? They prosecuted Trump, literally, in New York. They were working on the case for years. Then, like, just a dishonest person, man, in my opinion. He is very, very scummy, because then he says we're bipartisan. It's like, bro, you were the prosecutor of Trump. Gosh. So they come out, they bring in these morons who all signed this document, and I just share it with you because you see how ridiculous this is. They do this with strength in numbers. So all these idiots, all these guys come in here. I haven't looked them up, but maybe I should. Robert Cleary, Daley, Dickman, perfect. Gerson is here. Keisler, Martin, Twardy, totally Twardy, big Tward, and Bill Weld. All of these people all sign it. It's like the 51 laptop letter with all the morons. Oh, hallmarks of Russian disinformation. We're bipartisan. No, you're not, you hack. You prosecuted Trump. Your whole existence was based around that. And ultimately, you lost your attempt. We got convictions against the president there because it was a rigged prosecution. And Alvin Bragg and the judge who presided over the case literally donated to Joe Biden and then stayed on the case. His daughter literally worked for the Democrats. Judge Juan the Con Mercan. And then they put this together as amici. We're serving Republicans and Democrats, and we're completely bipartisan, and blah, blah, blah. Eat it. All right. That's who these people are. So once you know who they are and who's behind it, all of it goes right out the door, but they think you're not going to look them up, but we did, fortunately. So, all right, that's what got submitted. And we have questions about election fraud and election integrity. And it's looking like, I hate to blackpill on this, that the SAVE Act is probably dead. We covered that this morning on our members only stream. Thank you for becoming a member, or you can check it out now. No paywall over on Substack. Link in the description below if you want to catch the morning stream. But what we saw this morning is that the SAVE Act looks like it's dead. They're too busy parading around with, to be fair, very, handsome dogs out there, very good looking boys, real good boys and girls walked through Congress. But while they're enjoying themselves with our furry friends, they're not passing the SAVE Act, and they want more fraud to continue, just like we saw in Fulton and many other locations around the country. And this guy right here, Brett Trussell, a Democrat voter who you can tell by how he looks, how he votes, apparently is, according to this panel, maybe a little bit of a racist too, because he says minorities can't get IDs to vote.
An act like the SAVE Act is very likely more aimed at voter suppression and at keeping key demographics that the Republican Party does not want voting to not show out and vote. I think very often minority demographics.
That's not true.
No. This is the thing where the suggestion is it's going to keep the black vote down. I've got two black panelists here. Ajwa?
That's not true.
Do you have ID and proof of citizenship?
Yeah, and if I need a copy of my birth certificate, it's just a matter of going online or going up to the department and asking for it and showing my information to get it. I mean, to say that it would negatively affect a minority group because they're somehow not educated enough to get these documents is completely outrageous.
Annie?
And it's racist. So that guy just got basically called a racist right to his face. Well, black people, they're going to have a hard time with this. Black woman's like, what the hell did you just say? I've got ID and go get my birth certificate. How can you sit there and say that about a black woman right next to you? Well, we know why, because he's a Democrat, and that's how he's been programmed. And he probably supports guys like Gavin Newsom, who can't read, just like black people. According to Gavin Newsom, I would never say that, but Gavin did, and he's a Democrat voter. So that's what they think, man. They are actually racist in their minds, and they don't recognize it as racism. Because and he's a young guy, hopefully he wakes up and figures out life is not what he's been programmed to think. We doubt it, but we hope they can. But they're the most racist party in the world. They think of themselves as gods, like they can save poor, dumb minorities and fight for their rights to get IDs. It's disgusting. But he got called out for that. Shout out to the rest of the panel. Now here's Kamala, and she says she's a black woman. I think that's been subject to debate. But of course, she says the SAVE Act can't be passed because 40% of Americans don't have the document. All right, here's a short clip. We can only take like 15 seconds of her. Let's listen.
Understand that in addition to everything that was obvious about it, it might have been basically a demonstration and a beta testing of militarizing the streets of America to intimidate people against voting.
Oh, gosh. I hope she runs again. I hope so, because it'll be great. And while this is all going on, we saw Tom Tillis is walking, dogs around Congress. We still have a couple senators who are working hard on this. We've got Rick Scott, who said, we have to pass the SAVE Act. Okay, keep the pressure up. Share this video. We will, Tim. Hopefully you guys can get it done. Here's what he said.
I loved it. I love that the president was so on board at the State of the Union address for the Save America Act to secure elections. All right, now, if you support this, you should share this and also call every politician you know and say, pass the Save America Act.
Yeah, we know now that McConnell, Tom Tillis, Lisa Murkowski, and I think Mitch McConnell, did I already say him, are all no's on it. Or rather, they're yeses, kind of, but then no's if it opens up some sort of procedural mechanism by which the Democrats can do something. And so Mike Lee's continuing to fight. He says, well said, Rick Scott. They haven't said the talking filibuster couldn't help us in the efforts to pass this. They've said we still have some who remain unconvinced. Let's keep convincing those who have doubt. He posted that today around lunchtime, but I think John Thune has already moved on, to be honest with you. Here's Senator Kennedy, who was also out on Fox today, and what he said about the SAVE Act.
So, this is obviously a little problematic for Mayor Mamdani, given the Democrat stance that it would be, so atrocious for you guys to pass the SAVE Act and have people actually have to show ID to vote.
Yeah. Well, I don't know the mayor. He seems like a nice enough guy, but he must think there's an award for being stupid. I mean, the American people look at this stuff, and they're aghast. You're going to require somebody to show not one form, but two forms of ID in order to shovel snow, but not to vote. I mean, it's a silly dispute. Everybody has ID. Everybody could get ID. I can tell you the way my people back in Louisiana feel about it. They feel about it they tell me, if you can't figure out how to get an ID, you probably shouldn't be voting.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So,
and you need an ID in New York to shovel snow, but not to go vote. Because the communists don't want entrepreneurship happening without their oversight. But they do want voting happening without any oversight, because they're the cheaters, they're the fraudsters, they're the ones fighting for their ballots back in Fulton County to prevent the FBI from scrutinizing them. And if the election was the most free and fair and the most one filled with integrity the world has ever seen, because Fannie Willis ran it, or her people did, then why is that? It's because there's evidence of crimes in there. They know it. They're now getting caught. So we're going to keep our eye on this one and see what comes from the mediation, if anything. But the prosecution, hopefully, continues from here. Thank you for joining us as we keep our eye on this one. All right, one more segment. We're not done yet. We've got more business to attend to, baby. We were jamming today. Lots of stuff. And now we've got this one, which is a good one. Starting now. FBI agents fired after they got caught spying on the Trump campaign. And this is so shameless, it'll make your head explode, thinking you call a lawyer. Lawyer is supposed to represent you, not set you up for potential criminal prosecution. But that's exactly what happened to Susie Wiles. CBS News with a follow-up saying at least 10 FBI staffers who worked on Mar-a-Lago, all fired. Said they worked for and with the special counsel investigation into Trump, courtesy of Jack Smith, who's still running around free eating footlongs. He left the White House in 2021, but they were fired. The firings came after Reuters got their hands on a report. I have that queued up. We'll read it. They said the FBI had subpoenaed records of phone calls made by Kash Patel and Susie Wiles. Wow. They were both at the time still private citizens, but they were working with Trump. The article also quoted Patel, Patel didn't give any evidence of wrongdoing, so CBS News. But special counsel Jack Smith, as we know, oversaw 2 federal probes into Trump. J6 case, Florida classified document case. Jack Smith was illegally appointed by Joe Biden and Merrick Garland. He was working for them, reporting to them. We had the White House counsel help facilitate all of these investigations and prosecutions by waiving privilege, having the National Archives deliver materials over. Jack Smith became kind of the hub. All the spokes of the investigation went into Fannyland, went into Alvin Bragg and Kerry Dunland, and it was an onslaught, a weaponization of the federal government, the likes of which we've never seen in our lifetimes. So all of the FBI agents and analysts who were fired on Wednesday were involved with the classified documents case. CBS News confirming with a source familiar with the matter that Wiles' records were reviewed as a part of the documents case, but they were unable to verify what happened with Patel. Case involves the 2020 election, known as Arctic Frost. In that case, Patel's records were not subpoenaed, but all of the other senators were. We had like a dozen senators and House reps that got their phones spied on by Jack Smith. Could you imagine if Trump was spying on Kamala Harris? Trump spying on Pete Buttigieg or Gavin Newsom? There would be a 5-alarm nuclear fire meltdown, and rightfully so, because it's reprehensible. Have some honor. Do you need to cheat? Do you need to read the lips of the coach on the other side of the game field? Just run your plays. CBS News has reached out to the FBI for comment, and the FBI Agents Association, which is a hack association, of course, you're a government employee. You work for the federal government. You already have gobs of civil laws that prevent you from being fired. You get all the benefits, all the holidays, you get everything. And now you need a union, an association to protect you too. So the whiny baby FBI agents have theirs. It's called the FBI Agents Association. Every time someone gets fired, they all circle the wagons. They say, you can't fire us. We're allowed to spy on anyone we want. And the Reuters article gives us the details. Here's what happened. Exclusive from them. FBI got Kash Patel and Susie Wiles' phone records during the Biden administration. And they were listening in on Susie's phone calls. The FBI subpoenaed records of phone calls made by Kash and Susie, now FBI Director and Chief of Staff. They were both private citizens during the probe of Trump. Now, Reuters is the first to report on this. This happened back during Biden when Jack Smith was investigating Trump in Mar-a-Lago and the J6 case. Smith took over the probe November 22. They lied to us. They said Smith was an independent special counsel. Remember that? And they said, well, actually, we don't have an independent counsel statute anymore. It's called a special counsel now. Oh, what's the statute for that, Merrick? There really isn't one. So they cobbled a bunch of other statutes together from like the Bureau of Prisons and from the FBI. I'm like, well, this is kind of special. And they just made it up and appointed him. So then he inherited an investigation because he couldn't do it on his own. The corrupt FBI guys like Timothy Thibault, who has not been prosecuted, none of them have, for conspiracy against rights or for obstruction of justice or for presenting fraudulent evidence and prosecuting people illegally, none of that. So then they appointed Jack to take that over, lied to everybody, independent. He came in and did his own analysis, didn't happen. It all came from Joe Biden. Patel portrayed the seizing of his phone records and the effort to conceal the seizure as an example of overreach by unelected government officials. Wow, Kash, what are you going to do about it? Wow, great job. You fired him. Are you going to do anything else? It is outrageous and deeply alarming that previous FBI leadership secretly subpoenaed my own phone records, along with those of now White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, using flimsy pretexts and burying the entire process in prohibited case files designed to evade oversight. Is that illegal at all? Are you allowed to do that in the FBI? You just kind of do whatever you want? It's like insubordination. It's like a criminal cover-up to cover up your misdeeds. Is that legal? Reuters could not independently verify many of the details about Patel's claims, including the full extent and the timing of the seizures and the phone records and the motive. But Patel said the records were filed in a way that made it difficult for him and other FBI leaders to find them after taking over the Bureau. That sounds like obstruction to me. At least 10 current FBI employees have been dismissed as a result of the revelations about the targeting of Patel, Wiles, and others, according to 3 FBI officials. Democrats in Congress have consistently defended Jack Smith because he's their hatchet man. But investigators routinely, Reuters, you scum too, Patel publicly said in 2022 that Trump had declassified the documents taken to Mar-a-Lago. Patel was summoned. Reuters could not independently establish what records the FBI got under Jack. The news agency also couldn't ascertain if Patel or Wiles were under investigation, and if so, why. Both were close to Trump during this period. Both Patel and Wiles were known to have been interviewed by investigators as part of Jack Smith's investigation. In 2023, listen to this, man. It's so disgusting. The FBI recorded a phone call between Susie Wiles and her attorney, her lawyer, according to two FBI officials. Wiles' lawyer was aware that the call was being recorded and consented to it, but Susie Wiles was not. Susie's lawyer gets on a recorded phone call with the feds and is trying to set her client up. Is that guy still practicing law? It's like a one-party consent state, maybe down there in Florida, so they can do that. But that's not an ethical conflict, not disclosing that to your client. At minimum, that lawyer should be disbarred. At maximum, they should be a part of a conspiracy against the rights of the Trump campaign and everybody involved in the Trump campaign and charged with crimes. A spokesperson for Smith declined to comment on Patel's allegations. Biden, former Attorney General Garland, and Chris Wray oversaw all of this. None of them responded to our request. Federal judge on Monday permanently barred the DOJ from releasing the Jack Smith report. That was Judge Cannon in Florida. We talked about that. Smith has told Congress he can't talk about these things. Smith also told Congress that we followed the policies. Now, the White House and Susie Wiles did not immediately comment. So many people belong in jail. I'm, getting kind of tired of just like these releases. Oh, wow, some bad people did some bad things sometime. That's great. Who's in charge of the FBI and the DOJ right now? Patel said investigators use subpoenas to obtain what are known as toll records, timing and recipients of the calls. The government may lawfully obtain phone records with a subpoena, but they didn't tell the judge that they were going after congressional records of senators and House reps. Patel said investigators obtained the records around the time Smith led the probe into Trump. Trump got charged with felonies. Patel said he did not know the FBI's purpose in seizing the phone records. She became a top advisor to Trump after he left office in 2021. They got the records while she was working for Trump. Became co-campaign manager in 24. Patel was also an ally. He said the collection of the phone records extended into Wiles' time as Trump's co-campaign manager. FBI literally spying on his campaign, and Susie Wiles' lawyer is helping facilitate that. We need to know who that dude's name is. Though he did not say when exactly the record collection began and ended. The FBI discovered the phone records. They were categorized as prohibited. Okay, these scummy FBI agents buried the records so nobody could see them, which makes them difficult to discover. Patel said he recently ended the FBI's ability to do this. Smith's techniques have previously drawn denunciation. Great. Yes, we denounce you. Great. Smith testified last year that records of members' calls helped them put together a timeline on the J6 Capitol attack. He told a House panel that we didn't listen to their conversations. We didn't include the content of their conversation. This is just insane. Susie Wiles' lawyer got on a phone call with the FBI and tried to set her up. And nobody's been prosecuted for it. We're very happy to have these documents or this evidence released to us. Not even the documents. Cash just talked to somebody about it. But honestly, it's really pathetic. If we don't see charges, it's like literally pathetic. That's the only word I can come up with. So Fox News reporting on it too. Here's the two of them. Now the FBI director, now the campaign manager, very important people, got their records spied on by the prior FBI. And Republicans will continue to allow the left to say Trump is weaponizing the government against them. How? Who has been weaponized against? Comey, Letitia? Their cases are dismissed. Maybe they should start spying on every Democrat's phone records, and then maybe we'll get some activity out of Congress. But here's how Fox was reporting on it and sharing what they've learned.
Susie Wiles reportedly told associates, quote, "I'm in shock." Trump officials tell Axios this might be the tip of the iceberg. Republican Senator and Homeland Security Committee member Ron Johnson is coming up in focus. And we begin with Justice correspondent David Spunt in Washington. David.
Harris, good morning. A lot of tension behind the walls of the FBI headquarters here in Washington, D.C. 10 FBI agents were fired yesterday. More could lose their jobs over this, we are told. The FBI Agents Association is furious, arguing that agents don't pick the cases they work on and are being unfairly targeted without due process. But FBI Director Kash Patel is equally as furious about his phone records being obtained when he was a private citizen by the bureau that he now leads. Now, these relate to phone calls between Patel and other people, Susie Wiles and other people in 2022 and 2023. This was before he led the FBI and before she led the White House. This began with the FBI. It morphed into Jack Smith's 2 investigations over then former President Donald Trump, his alleged attempts to overturn the 2020 election, also his taking classified documents to Mar-a-Lago. As far as the phone records are concerned, Harris, we're told they are toll records. This means investigators were able to see phone numbers called, times and dates, but not the specific content of the calls. However, in one instance, we are told in 2023, 2 sources tell Fox the FBI recorded a phone call involving Susie Wiles. We're told that her attorney was aware that it was being recorded, but she was
Insane.
not. The White House would not provide an on-the-record comment from Ms. Wiles to Fox News. The FBI Agents Association says these actions, meaning the firings, weaken the Bureau by stripping away critical expertise and destabilizing the workforce, undermining trust in leadership and jeopardizing the Bureau's ability to meet its recruitment goals, ultimately putting the nation at greater risk. We reached out to spokespeople for former DOJ and FBI leaders in the prior administration, did not hear back. A representative for the former special counsel, Jack Smith, says no comment. Harris.
It's actually shocking that the lawyer is on the phone with their client, on the phone with the FBI listening into their calls. I can't even imagine that. And so I hope we know more about who that lawyer is. And I don't know what it's going to take for the FBI and the DOJ. This is just breaking. But Kash, okay, fire some people and changes the policy. No more prohibited files. That's it. And now you get screamed at by the FBI Agents Association because they know nothing's going to happen. And that it's just going to be more outrage porn for all of us. Why are we more upset than they are about this? Where are the senators at continuing to demand Boasberg's impeachment or hauling in all of these other people in close proximity to this into Congress to get them under oath? Blood is boiling. We're going to keep our eye on this one. Thank you for subscribing and joining as we do. All right, my friends, let's see what you have to say about all of this and more. If you're just joining us, quick recap on what we talked about. We had a good debrief on Hillary Clinton, the liar. She, of course, was deposed today under oath and said, I don't know anything about anything. I do not recall. I'm Hillary Clinton. What difference at this point does it make? Well, Hillary, at this point, you and your husband need to be held accountable for your many crimes. And we know that not only was Ghislaine at the wedding with Bill and Chelsea, but Ghislaine and Jeffrey were at the White House like 17 times, according to official records. We saw Hillary's opening statement. We went through the leaked photo from Lauren Boebert to Benny Johnson, which fortunately was just a little bit of a temporary flub in the day. But ABC News made a big deal about it, and they were, Clinton's people came out and tried to, well, they're breaking the rules here. We have to stop the whole deposition. Fortunately, that did not happen. But Fox was there. We went through the internet reporting on all of the very concerning connections between child trafficking, Epstein, the Clinton Foundation, the Clinton Global Initiative, and more. Howard Lutnick, who's in the Trump administration, for whatever reason, invited Jeffrey to come to a very intimate fundraising event with Hillary Clinton. Don't know if he went or not. Hillary says, of course, she doesn't recall, but instead calls herself an advocate for victims, says, I would never belittle victims of abuse. Turns out she does that all the time, especially when it's against her husband, calls them, dumb bimbo Cabernet dancers or whatever she said. And then we looked at more emails. Questions, hey, Hillary's much prettier in person. Isn't that right, Jeff? Talking about in-person meetings. Bill Clinton was on the airplane where people are banging it out in the back of the plane. and grabbing butts, talking about HIV research, and in one just disgusting, incestuous plane. You'd have to parachute out of there if you were on there. So we talked about that. We then also saw some other posts about the Rothschilds family and how people are asking literally Jeffrey to organize discreet meetings with Hillary. They're both in New York. Epstein's got a mansion there. Hillary was a senator from there. And apparently there's a lot more to this relationship. Somebody confirmed, hey, Jeff, I know you are close with Hillary, but if she gets the nominations, I'm going to effing kill you. Because Hillary's, even that guy, even Epstein's pedophile friends, they're like, Hillary's a monster. It's just true. So that's another email. More discreet meetings. Ghislaine Maxwell is submitting thousands of pages of documents. We looked at several of those. We went through the flight logs. We went through all the transcripts that she shared and refreshed our recollection on what's going on with that. Meanwhile, Epstein was setting up cameras all over the islands and wanted 1080p monitoring, and Zero Hedge got the password and the username. All they need is that two-factor authentication, and then get in there and see what's happening there. We had Congress come out after the depot outside the Performing Arts Center, where this is all just one giant performance for us. They might as well just put on some, frog suits and tiger outfits and danced around for us because it's all just a giant charade. What's going to come of it? Probably nothing. But then we turned our attention to Fulton County. And we had a big evidentiary hearing that was scheduled for tomorrow, which is not going to be happening now. The judge, in my opinion, is kind of kicking this thing down the road. He doesn't want to hand Fulton County a loss exactly. So he just says, why don't you guys go mediate this out? Then I don't have to decide it at all. And then I'm not the bad guy. So we'll come back in March. So that happened. SAVE Act is probably dead on arrival. John Thune, I think, is now working on housing bills or something. He's already moved on. And this guy, Brett Trussell, seems to me to be a little bit bigoted against the blacks who he says can't get IDs. But he's on a panel with other black people and they say, what are you talking about? We can get IDs. This whole thing is ridiculous. But Gavin Newsom started it, so we can blame him. Then Kamala was here for about 15 seconds. She says she might run for president again. We kind of hope she does. Mike Lee and Rick Scott, still two senators who are working on this, the SAVE Act, and even John Kennedy, the senator, says you need an ID to shovel snow, but not to vote. Absolutely ridiculous. And then we turned over to the FBI, firing 10 people who probably belong in jail. Kash Patel, Susie Wiles had their phone records spied on, and they're outraged and shocked. So are we. We'll see if anything comes of it. And we then heard the latest on that, and it's been a great stream, my friends. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for subscribing to our channel. Tomorrow, we'll be back. We'll see what Bill Clinton has to say. He's in big trouble because Hillary was pointing her fingers over. It's Bill. Got to ask my husband. I didn't meet with Epstein 17 times at the White House, but Bill did. I didn't fly on the plane, but Bill did. I didn't get a massage by a blonde at an airport somewhere, but Bill did. I wasn't floating around in a swimming pool with Ghislaine Maxwell, but Bill did. And so we'll be back tomorrow to get into that. And so thank you for being here. We have a great members-only community. We do members-only streams in the morning, and we've got some stuff over on Substack, too, if you want to check that out. In the meantime, links are in the description below. And we'd love to see you on the members-only streams if we don't see you back here. But now it's time to hear from you. And thank you for being here and all the things. And sending in these very nice donos on the day. Tony Haymunkets, what's going on? NY Renal in the house. Mock Schnell, what's up, Mock Schnell? We got FD Man, bunch of great stuff. Friends, thank you for sending these in. This is pretty much what she sounds like. No one can touch me. At this point, what difference does it make? Well, Americans are dead. Yeah, but so what? They're dead. Well, we want to find out how they died and whether you killed them. Well, no one can touch me. Brushes her shoulder off like she's Jay-Z. Hey, there's Ed, the friendly horse. What's up, Ed? There's a reason I call her Hillary Clinton. Nice, nice. Hillary Clinton. You have to work on that. It's kind of like a tongue twister. Her name's not Hillary, it's Hillary. Hillary Clinton, you know, because she's a liar. Thank you, Ed. That's a good one. Did the horse make that up? He's so smart. Sinsin, I believe there's many more islands out there just like Jeff's. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I would imagine that they're probably on a little bit of a hiatus right now, or maybe not. Yeah, maybe they're not. They will find many children and people in high places. It's a sickness. Lord help us. Let us find these children. Man, we're with you, Sinsin. Yeah, it's disgusting. And then they all like lie through their teeth about their relationship with the guy. Lie to us. Right through the camera. Right on podcasts. We see the documents. They're proven liars. And there's not even an ounce of shame anywhere. It's baffling. They operate and I'm a criminal defense lawyer. I've represented many people charged with very serious crimes. But the shamelessness, every now and then, most criminal defendants know they've done something wrong. They come in, they have their head hang in shame and, you know, need help. Like, how do we fix this? Not at this level though, man. You got people who were completely involved in these who just are smiling and laughing because they know nothing's going to happen to them. And all of us little people just have to sit here and be governed by them. Thank you, Sinsin. My soul weeps. God bless the children. Thank you, Sinsin. Yeah, and, you know, the Biden folks brought in hundreds of thousands of kids, all missing. So a portion, it's just the law of big numbers, okay? A portion of those kids are absolutely being trafficked right now. And they brought them all in the name of saving immigrants because they think that they're gods and that they are the saviors of the planet. I think that's where a lot of their morality comes from. Rob, how many more people will be Clinton-sided now? Yeah, I don't know. Benny Johnson better be careful out there. He posted about that. He's like, man, I angered the Clintons off. So maybe they'll come and get me. Hopefully they don't. Protection up there for Benny and Lauren Boebert and the rest of the committee today. Hey, Rob, thank you. Hey, Joe, just realized the Dems refusing to stand to prioritize American citizens is an admission to treasonous intent. Reason to investigate every one of them. Well, it certainly, I think, is an indicator of their priorities. Yeah, and so if they're going to be prioritizing illegal aliens in any way, shape, or form, are they moving congressional, like, district medal money over to them? If they go to the government or insert something in a bill, pork, right? Pork barrel spending. They shove something in there to bring some pork back to their barrel for their constituents. Is that going to American citizens? Or are they engineering these things to their real priority, which are illegal aliens? And is that illegal and anti-law? Maybe they should be investigated. And we can spy on their phones and just call it prohibited. Put it in the FBI. Just say, oh, no, you guys did it to us. This is the precedent now. And now the FBI Agents Association can go and defend them. Just hire the most ruthless FBI agents, go gobble up all the Democrats' phone records and say, what are you talking about? They can appoint me special counsel. I'll do it. Yeah, illegitimately. Apparently nothing happens to you. You can just become a special counsel even though you're not a U.S. attorney because you're a partisan person and they appoint you to it and you can do whatever you want, carte blanche, no one cares. John, here's what I learned this week. Johns rule the world. President Donald John Trump, John Thune, Mike Johnson, John Roberts. Also, I found a new favorite quote. Education is something that helps you get by without intelligence. And intelligence is something that helps you get by without education. That's pretty good. Is that from Jeffrey Epstein? Is that JRE? John, yeah. And Jeffrey's not a John, so it's good. That's good for you. John Roberts. Yeah. Roberts is in there. All right. John Roberts, kind of like my name. Thank you, John. Yeah, it's a very, strong name. It's been around a long time there, John. John rules the world. Thank you, John. All right, what else we got? FD Man. Oh, FD Man. I can't read this one. Does Bill like to put cigars in? Does Bill like young women? Yes. Are you acquainted with Epstein? Yes. Hillary Clinton goes to a BS answer. Here you go. What difference at this point does it make? She doesn't care where he puts his cigars, I guess. It's Hillary. It's like, whatever. As long as Bill just keeps the Clinton brand intact, no problem. Hey, T.W. Wright, did you see that Susie Wiles' lawyer recorded conversations for the FBI? Seems like a breach of attorney-client privilege by the lawyer to me. Yeah. And where's his name? Like, if Cash is dishing all this information, just tell us who her lawyer was. Is that on the record? Oh, it's from the Joe Rogan Experience. All right, that's JRE. Shout out. That's not Jeffrey Epstein. What's up, Joe Rogan? T.W. Wright. Yeah, it's really shocking. I mean, I can't. It's like you signed an agreement to represent their best interest. Like you have pledged yourself to this person to defend them, and you're setting them up. What kind of a person are you? What kind of a lawyer are you? FD man. After the Senate dog show led by Senator John Thune and not voting on the Save America Act, his new name is John, the Democrat goon, Thune. I like it. I like it. Yeah, and I saw Thune, I think, was out today talking about housing and urban development. Like, that's his new thing now. And I think it's HUD. So it's Democrat legislation that is going to spend more money. And yeah, John Thune posted about it right today.
Republicans passed the landmark working families tax cuts into law. Depreciation, Memories Furniture Store, and
7 minutes. Whether you're a small business owner, farmer, rancher, whatever, tax cuts are going to be good for you. Yeah, thank you, John. That's great. You know what else would be good? Actual elections that function. But they're not doing that. They're too busy not serving us. FD man, Hillary Clinton said, could you imagine having to have intercourse with her regardless if she's young? Not like that. What? You are going to... Oh, gosh, FD man. Way too visual. Thank you for the dono, though. If you're having intercourse with Hillary, you have to ask yourself, what difference at this point does it make? It's a good question. It makes a big difference. It's Hillary versus the alternative. Spuds, albeit 26 years... I met Hillary and she was more attractive in person than what we see of her today, but no less scary. Yeah, she's not an unattractive woman, especially when she was younger. But what happens is you have the dark side who kind of contorts your face. Like, remember in the Star Wars movies, especially that one where Samuel L. Jackson was like lightning rodding him, and his face just like turned right in front of you. What happens to our politicians, including Hillary. Hey, Mach Schnell. Thank you, Mach Schnell, for the very nice dono. So generous as always. Great stream, Rob. Positive note item for the 2 SCOTUS October seating cases. Only 2 not completed. The 2 decisions we're waiting for. Louisiana versus Calais. So only Alito and Gorsuch are left to write an opinion. This might mean we win on those. If so, that might mean a 12-19 Democrat seats lost to redistricting. Man, that would be a big swing. All right, so I got to get up to speed on that one. Louisiana versus Calais. Have we talked about that one? I feel like we've talked about most of the election litigation, but that one's not ringing a bell. Mach Schnell, as always, I appreciate you flagging stuff for us when we miss it. So we got 2 decisions left, Louisiana versus Calais. I don't remember that one. Mach, thank you. We'll look at it. Yeah, and we like Gorsuch. He, didn't do such a good job on the tariffs decision, but he's usually pretty reliable. Alito, always solid. He was on the right side of that issue. And we've got, I think, birthright citizenship oral arguments coming up soon. April. Yeah, it's going to be some big stuff coming down. Mach Schnell, thank you. Hey, Paul M. Welcome aboard, Paul M. Thank you for becoming our newest supporter. We had a good stream this morning. We talked about J.D. Vance and Mehmet Oz, who are now suspending some of that Minnesota fraud money. And we went through the Minnesota hearing this morning. Oh, man. It was pretty enlightening. They were warning the Minnesota Leering centers about inspections before they would happen. 24 hours notice, and then they'd bring all the kids in. The inspector would show up from out of state and say, great job. Amazing. Lots of Leering going on here. And then just leave, and the fraud continued. It was a wild segment. Check it out from this morning, Paul. Thank you. Rob, Hillary/Chelsea, Democrat president candidates. I don't know. Hillary, I don't know that there's much energy for her to run. And the Epstein stuff might take her out. But I don't know. I could see her throwing her hat back in the ring. How old is Hillary now? Let's see. Hillary age. How old is she? 78. All right, she's getting up there. So Hillary, yeah. But she, looked pretty decent. Better than Kamala. Like, I think she'd be more formidable than Kamala would be. That's why we support Jasmine Crockett for the presidential primary in 2028. Because I think we can beat her. Hey, the Freak Beast. What's up, the Freak Beast? Hey, thanks for everything you do, Brosif. Hey, brother, man, thank you for that. The Freak Beast. We appreciate that. Brosif is a real term of endearment, and I feel it. Thank you. 3 months as a membo, 1/3 of the way to full term, and you got a real good boy there in that profile photo. Thank you, the Freak Beast in the house. Good to have you as a membo. Rob. Oh, no. Bill's going to die by suicide tonight? Oh, no. Hillary Clinton? Oh, that's going to be terrible news. Hopefully that doesn't happen. It's a joke. Or maybe he'll be Epstein. And he can go hang out with him on his island again. Hey, Woeful Wood. Hey, we got 2 new membos. Thank you, friends, for signing up. Woeful Wood and Lori Pipkin. We talked, this morning was Cuba, that Cuba sitch, SAVE Act nonsense, melting down over that, and the dog and pony show in Congress, and then, of course, Minnesota fraud. It was a good one. Hey, Ed, the rumor is Hillary said many times during the hearing when asked about Epstein and trafficking, what difference at this point does it make how many human kids we trafficked? Says Ed. Thank you, Ed. I mean, it would be kind of funny if she said that. Like in the depot. She should just say that over and over. What difference at this point does it make, James? Luna, what difference at this point does it make, Luna? That'd be kind of funny. I don't know if she's got that kind of humor. NY, although it may be fun to do, to try to log into this nest is likely illegal and considered hacking. So they'll prosecute you for hacking Epstein's nest, but not the people who are on the nest. That sounds right. Federal laws say don't do that. You can't access unauthorized communications. It's called the CFAA and the ECPA. Thank you, NY. So if you're trying to log in there, you might be an Epstein criminal. Thank you, NY. It would be fun to do, and it's pretty fun that they tried that. But they can't get in. Hey, Mock Schnell, 16 months as a membo, almost 2 full babies. Rob, my super chat was for something positive to think about, as this Epstein crap in Fulton County have made me lose my brain cells. And that was the one up from earlier. Your comments are always fun. Oh, got it. Yeah, so you're trying to kind of change the subject from human trafficking and stolen federal elections and a weak FBI that won't prosecute anybody, that will fire them and kind of whine and moan about it, but then not do anything about it. So want to talk about something positive? It's true. Thank you, Mock Schnell. We are still positive. We just want better. It's like we want our side to perform better. And Fulton, I think, is going well, actually. Like, Fulton is a bright spot in a lot of this other stuff. But we'll see how they'll wreck that one, too. Hey, Mrs. T. Rush, is it just me? They've had 5 years. Wouldn't they have already destroyed all the voter fraud evidence? Would they be so dumb as to keep it? Well, I mean, according to the affidavit, there was a witness who said that they were updating the files as soon as 2024. So, and they couldn't destroy it because there were lawsuits in Georgia. A bunch of heroes out there have been suing and suing and suing. They're only supposed to keep them for like 22 months, and then they can nuke them, which covers up the evidence of the crime. They should keep them for 10 years. They've got space. Put them in there for 10 years. 22 months, next election comes around, get rid of the last one, and you just keep moving forward, right? There's no look back possible because the records are gone. So they got sued in Georgia. They were court ordered to hold on to the files. They did, and it seems like somebody was modifying the records. And of course, you have the ballot image, right? So you have like a photo, and then you can run an algorithm to like scan the file and then write a hash called an SHA file, and they should match. And if you adjust the image file, like if you go in there in Photoshop and you change some pixels, that SHA file, the hash won't match. It's like a fingerprint of what it was. Those files are missing, and or some that exist show that they were updated in 2024. So instead of actually not touching the files and just explaining that we're just idiots who did a bad job counting the ballots, they've now manipulated the ballots, which shows, from our perspective, intentionality to cover up for the crime, right? Oftentimes the cover up is more damning than the crime. And it seems like we might be there in this one. Hey, Goofy for Jesus. Hey, appreciate you, Rob. Congrats on the real baby. Coming soon. July 2026. Coming soon. And this one's kind of old, actually. This one's from January 7th, 2026. 11 weeks and 2 days. We're going, I don't know if it's tomorrow. Are we going tomorrow? It's either tomorrow or next week. We've got a couple other appointments because we're almost at week 20. And the baby grew, like, doubled in size in her belly, like this past week. It's like belly's like there. It's like, there's a baby in there. Hey, Rob, thank you so much. Also, Goofy for Jesus. We're also Goofy for Jesus, man. We love Jesus. Thank you for that. 26 months as a member. Grateful to have you here. It's almost 3 babies, right? Hey, thank you, Goofy. Rob says, there is a high chance that Ghislaine Maxwell will be denaturalized for lying on her citizenship. Have you ever been a prostitute or procured anyone for prostitution? She's like, no. No, of course not. Just like the communists. They're like, no, of course not. I'm not a commie. No. Off label. How many Republicans in the House and Senate you think actually do benefit from fraud votes? It explains McConnell and Graham. No one likes them. Yeah, and I don't know if it's actually like definitely there are fraudulent votes in there. But there's also constituencies who don't want their constituency to be scrutinized. And I think there's like a secondary benefit from that. So in other words, McConnell and Graham and these people get paid by the lobbies who represent those folks. Whether those folks translate into votes for them or not, there's institutional pressure to not investigate certain things. And they may, like, they're in pretty red states, like McConnell and Graham. So I have a hard time believing like swaths of illegal aliens are voting for them. But they've got business interests, right? They've got like the Koch brothers and others, all of these conservative groups who say that they're conservatives and love America, but they want to invade our country with foreigners. Or like I saw Cato Institute, like immigration's important for the country. What? Have you looked around? How? Explain that to us. And, they're H-1Bers or whatever. And so it's not maybe the issue of like voting fraud, but it's scrutiny on the immigration population that they don't want. And so they vote accordingly. Even though, in like Kentucky, for example, I don't know that they're getting huge illegal alien votes. I think it's probably in other very close districts like Fulton or these sanctuary states. So, federal dollars come in. You start scrutinizing immigrant communities and that federal money doesn't come in. So it's probably also that, in addition to the actual votes. Off label, thank you. Layers and layers and layers. Look at these little babies, man, hanging out. Shout out to the little babies. C. John. Hey, C. John. 4 babies, 36 months. That's 9 times 4. Carry the 2, carry the 5, divide by 3, plus or minus B over the square root of 4AC over 2B. Got it? 4 babies, and you need IDs to get a job to fill out your I-9. I hire most people at my workplace. Yeah, and that's another area, right, of investigating. Like why are illegal aliens given access to banks and jobs and all those other things? If you can't hire them and they can't put money in American banks, illegal aliens, immigrants who are here legally, that's a different story, but kind of as well, because many of the legal immigrants were exploiting the law on TPS, refugee asylee status. They're not actually TPS, not actually asylees, not actually refugees. It's their papusa business in Guatemala that their mama runs, is their basis for it. But my point is, yeah, we have an incentive structure that normalizes existence here as an illegal alien. Why do we do that? C. John, thank you for being here. 4 babies. We appreciate you. Tara, Honey and Barry Sherman resided near Thornhill, Ontario. Man, I don't even know who those people are. But is it nice? Thornhill, Ontario? It might be nice. I don't know. I think I've been to Ontario. I can't remember. Canada's all just a big blur to me. 33 months as a membo. Thank you, Tara. That I do understand, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Tara. Hey, Cecil Says. Thanks for rating our stream. Shout out to our Cecil Says friends. Good to see you. We appreciate you joining us. Jay Marino. Senator Mark Kelly and 5 other Democrats have made it a patriotic duty to refuse to carry out illegal orders. Now, the jackbooted FBI stormtroopers that have been fired are whining that they were just carrying out orders after having gleefully, intentionally, and knowingly committed sedition and then again covering it up. Like, if they were just following orders, why'd they have to cover it up? It's because they know what they did is wrong. Except that we are in a cold civil war. I think that's true. Yeah, I mean, we have sanctuary cities that are operating signal groups and insurgencies to fight back against federal agents. And our federal agents were just thrown out. So I think you're right. Hey, Tony Hay Munkets. Hey, it's the Munkets in the house. Good to see you, Tony Hay. Thanks for bringing in 5 new friends. UAV, welcome. Devil's Advocate is here. This and That Adventures. Rose Nars, good to see you. And Carrie Bishop, all gifted membos, courtesy of our friend, Hey, it's the Tony Hay Munkets. Good to see you, Tony Hay. Hey, Ricada! Man, Ricada was streaming all day today, I believe. Glad he's back. Ricada's covering a trial out there. And shout out, Nick. Thanks for doing that. And we got an invite, I think, from our friend Neuro D to come hang out one day. And that sounds fun. We'd like to do that. But I think you're covering a criminal trial that I know nothing about at the moment. So I have to get up to speed. Anyways, thank you, Nick, for sending some friends over here. We appreciate you, friends. Nick Ricada on YouTube, on Rumble, and all the places. Procrastination Station. Google AI says Henry Hank Cox, a lifelong Democrat and former president of the Florida Bar, was known to be Susie's lawyer then, but he denies the reporting. Okay, cool. Yeah, we don't want to smear anybody who didn't actually do that because that's a disgusting thing to do. So if he denies it, then I think that's good enough, but we want to know who did that. Like, that person should be shamed out of the legal profession. Shame, shame, shame. Hey, it's DC Metro. Shout out. What's up, DC Metro? Thanks for being a membo and bringing in 10 new friends. Motster, welcome. Alejandro Hernandez in the house. We got Neva's here. Jaza, welcome. We got Cognac, TPA Dave, Austin, Washington, Super Wiener, welcome. Ken the Northlander in the house, and Velvet Mall, also gifted membos courtesy of DC Metro in the house. Amazing. Welcome aboard, new friends, and thank you, DC Metro, for that. Osimo, 30 months as a membo. Man, that's a long time. That's almost 4 babies coming up, pretty sure. Hey, how can't we pass voter ID? We are such a joke. I know. Well, it's because our Congress doesn't represent us at all. We've made this point for a long time. We have 435 House members. Our share of representation is like 1/10 of what it used to be during the founding era. It used to be 1 rep for every about 50,000 Americans. Now it's 1 rep for every about 800,000 Americans. So we have no real representation in the House. The Senate, of course, used to be elected by the state legislatures until we had the 17th Amendment. So we stripped that away. And now our senators are elected on a popular basis. And so that kind of perverts the whole, you would say, separation between direct democracy that the founders envisioned. And so now our senators also are all bought and paid for. The whole point of American governance was to separate the elites out from one another, not create small groups of elites that then fight against us. 435 House reps, you can cajole all of those. That's why they cap them. It's like a big Senate and a small Senate. It's not actually a House of representation at all. They pretend that it is, but it isn't. And the senators, once they're in the Senate, they're beholden to the party and to the uniparty versus to the state legislatures. And it's all been perverted. And so we really have no, it's nice to pretend like this little fiction. Oh, we all go vote. Our elections are rigged too. We got illegal aliens pouring all in the place. Multiple ballots, duplicate and triplicate ballots. We all sit around like, oh, we're like Americans. Like we do it better than other people because you have democracy. Where? Where is it? Because we go vote every now and then. And then we have the FBI who knows that the other FBI was spying on them and they just fire some people and they don't prosecute anybody for it. All right, it's a little much for me today, as you can tell. Hey, Neuro D, Nick Ricada is going to be on the Jack Show tonight. Oh, check it out. Check it out. That Star Wars girl. Great to see you. That Star Wars girl in the house. Shout out to Nick making the rounds. Good for him. So awesome, Neuro D. Thanks for flagging that. Shout out to our friend Nick. We got Great Eagle. You know, Jeffrey Epstein donated $1 million into Hillary Clinton's campaign in the past. Is that fact? Wow. It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Probably managed some money for them and the Clinton Foundation too. Thank you for that, Great Eagle. Wonder if she mentioned that in her depot today. Mrs. T. Rush, great to see you. Everyone forgets that King Charles was good friends with Jimmy Savile and had him as a guest at Buckingham Palace often, even meeting with QE2. Man, I'm not sure who that is. Jimmy Savile? Is that an Epstein person? So, and we've long suspected that it's deeper than just Prince Andrew, but Prince Andrew is going to be made to be the scapegoat over there, just like Maxwell was over here. You got to find somebody. I think they also arrested Lord Mandelson or whatever he was, the underwear guy. But yeah, you need to like cut off the cancer. So if Prince Andrew is going to metastasize into the entire royal family, you got to cut it off. But a lot of the time, it's just kind of a token move. We'll see what happens. Thank you, Mrs. T. Rush. Lauren Ryrie in the house. In our home, we only refer to Hillary C. as Grandma Death. That's funny. Yeah, so Grandma Death is coming around. A lot of people dropped dead related to the Clinton files. Random deaths and heart attacks and car crashes and all the things. Lauren, sounds like you have a nice household. Sounds like a lot of fun. Thanks for being here and watching on Rumble. This old guy, the DNC can't afford to run Kamala again. That girl can spend some money. And she gets nothing for it. She was like the worst campaigner of all time. What did they pay, like $10 million for like Beyonce to come in there and say like, hey, vote Kamala, turn around left. $10 million. And we support that, by the way, because then that money's not going to anything useful. Thank you, this old guy. Hey, it's the Munkets bringing in 5 new friends. Again, thank you, Tony. Hey, Heather is here. Mama Pillow, what's up? And hey, you guys talk programming? Programming's pretty fun. Your boy's doing some vibe coding, watch your monitor and things like that. Shout out, our members know what I'm talking about. Win Rick in the house, Angie W, Tech the Home, Effie, all gifted membos courtesy of Tony Hay Munkets. Everybody can code now. Just get Claude Code CLI. It's pretty cool. Tara Rayner, I emailed you about Sherman and the Clintons. Incredible. Thank you, Tara. I will take a look. I'll take a look at it. I'll take a look at it. Thank you, Tara, for that one. Thanks for being a membo for a long time. Looks like 2-3 years. Tara, you rock. Thank you. Hey, G-Gum, there's Nick Ricada. I'm back. Good to see you, Nick. Good to see Nick Ricada back and doing well. Nate's Memes. If the SAVE Act don't pass, what can we do? Are we screwed? Well, we're going to see how the next elections work. I don't know that we're like by default screwed, but it doesn't solve a lot of the problems that we need solved. And if the Republicans lose everything and the Democrats take control of the both houses and the presidency, then we'll absolutely be screwed. Then we can be definitive about that. They were already going to try to remove the filibuster. Okay, Republicans are doing this thing. They're prancing around like we're better than them. Okay, well, you're going to be dead. You can, like, do you want to win or do you want to be right? Like, which one do you want? And many of them would rather be right than win. The Democrats don't play that way. They just want to win. They're like drug addicts. They'll do whatever it takes. The only reason the filibuster didn't happen the last time is because Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema from Arizona, her from that lawsuit, which is wild. Anyways, they stood firm and said, no, we're not going to nuke the filibuster. Thanks to them. They both got thrown out of their party, like aggressively. Get out of here. How dare you not. We did cover that one. Yeah. How dare you not vote with us? They threw him out. And now Kirsten's being sued for stealing a woman's husband. Not good. They're like in love too. That's a wild lawsuit. We covered that. Tony, hey, it isn't much, but it's a start. Can you put what YouTube doesn't take from you in your baby's piggy bank? Honestly, Tony, hey, I love that idea. That would be super cool to track too. That would be super cool to track. What if we could set up a baby fund and all super chats went into the baby fund and we have like a running tally? Because we're going to be doing this for like 18 years at least. Probably. So, we could see that the kid, at 18 years of your guys' generous super chats, kid will be loaded. Smart. I like that, Tony Hay. Smart idea. I like that. Put it in the Trump fund, you know? Hey, thank you, Tony Hay. First of all, thanks for the idea and thanks for the generosity. Very grateful of you. And thanks for thinking of our new baby coming soon. Hey, We're Nick in the house. Yeah, Louisiana versus Calais is the racial district 6 thing. Yes, we did cover that. Yeah, and I think it's probably a compendium of a couple cases. Like, some states are saying it's racist one way, the other states are saying it's racist the other way. Thank you for flagging that for us. Yeah, we'll have to come back on that. We got a decision on that coming soon. Thank you for the heads up on that. Hey, Miss Kayla, Jimmy Seville, too sick for the chat. All right, thanks for not sharing it then. Jimmy Seville, probably an Epstein acolyte. Hey, Miss Kayla, thanks again for the dono. Thanks for being a member. You rock. Mrs. T. Rush. Oh, he was Epstein of the 60s and the 70s. He is way worse than Epstein. Is that right? Of the 60s and the 70s, we already have like a precursor to Epstein 1.0. Yikes. All right, I got to look that one up too. Thank you, Mrs. T. Rush. And hey, Ballsack Tea Bag Company. It's very interesting tea. Interesting flavor. Not that I've ever tried it. Says, thanks for doing what you do, Rob. I'm learning a lot. Man, thank you, Ballsack Tea Company too. We're glad you're learning a lot. We're learning a lot too. Really, we appreciate you being here for 7 months as a membo. Your name just cracks me up. So 7 months as a membo, man, thank you for being here. We're learning a lot. I really appreciate the feedback. I learned a ton from you, and I think we have some fun. So we're grateful to be able to do that together in the spirit of saving America. Thank you, Bolsack. Hey, he is risen. Indeed, he is. Who's this from? Goofy for Jesus. Hey, guess Republicans think they are better than Dems, so we keep voting for them. But if they never get anything done, then sheesh. Why have power if they're just going to be lame? I'm not happy. Grr. Yeah, I mean, this is like the age-old question. What else do you do? If you don't go out and vote for the Republicans and support them, then the Democrats win by default. And we saw what happens to our country in those little windows. You don't even need a lot of time. Biden almost destroyed the country with his invasion, just in one fell swoop, one term. So like the argument is, screw the Republicans, right? And I feel this in my bones. I'm like, these guys don't deserve our money. They don't deserve our votes. They're scum who just continue to work against us. They lie to us through their teeth. Oh yeah, they're going to SAVE Act. Then they're out there with their dogs. Like Tom Tillis made a lot of commitments to his constituents and then turns around and stabs them all in the back. So it's like, why do you support those people? Well, because if you don't, then the Democrats sweep and you see what happens. It's almost irreversible. What can you do? We're trying to deport the criminal illegals and even, the worst criminals. And it's an insurrection across the country because they've established a beachhead. So I understand the opposite point, right? Don't vote for them. Stay home. Let the Democrats win. It's almost the accelerationist argument. Like if you're going to get a good Republican Party, you might have to have a destroyed Republican Party, right? Like they have to be destroyed. And then from the ashes, you can build something actually strong. One example might be like Britain, restore the UK. And I don't know if that's going to actually materialize into what he said, Rupert Lowe, into this party that's actually strong and aggressive and actually, has the will to get certain things done. Trump has that. But the GOP, the Republican, he's like been dragging them, kicking and screaming. It should have been in unison. Okay, they should have been hand in hand. Trump and Thune and Mike Johnson just skipping through the meadow, crushing libs like a pharmaceutical commercial. But it's not. It's Trump like dragging these people through. They're like dead weight, dead anchors. So what do? Do you just, let them flounder and lose and the Dems come in and then you maybe lose the country? It's a difficult position to be in. So I think the best solution is to continue to work within the party to support the good ones, get rid of the bad ones. Hopefully, the administration through the sheer force of will and the unitary executive can create a sea change. We get really strong economic growth. We actually get domestic production again. People realize, oh, we don't actually need all these illegal aliens here. And you start to see the Overton window shift a bit. You see Obama come out and say, actually, maybe we overdid it with the illegals. Clinton comes out. Okay, maybe it was a little too much. So you win on that issue, or like the trans issue. Like that may have been defeated, honestly. There was like a mass psychosis that was going on, but maybe that's defeated. So, and the border is now closed. So you take your wins where you can get them. It's not all or nothing. It's politics. We have to make sacrifices. And so we're not going to be happy about everything. But I feel your frustration. Sometimes I can't even talk because I'm just so mad. I just want to start throwing things. But we're on the live stream here and I'm trying to be reasonable. Thank you, Goofy. Miss Kayla, Google Seville. It's horrifying. We'll do that offline, not on camera. Thank you, Miss Kayla. Hey, thank you, NeuroD. Hey, that's amazing. Thank you, NeuroD. Congrats on passing 70K over on Rumble, man. On the road to 100K. It's slow going over there on Rumble, man. But NeuroD, we appreciate that. Thank you for the shout out. Yeah, it's good. We were at like 69.9 on Rumble for like 6 months, and we just crossed 70K. So shout out to our friends who are subbing up over on Rumble. We appreciate you. And we're glad to have our friends there as well. NeuroD, thank you for that. Thanks for keeping an eye on the Rumbles, and thanks for... Neuro does an awesome job, just kind of, as you can see, connecting people with each other, including Ricada and your boy here and our other friends. So thank you, NeuroD, for that. All right, let's see what's cooking on locals. And then we'll wrap on the evening. Of course, tomorrow we will be back here. Tomorrow is going to be Friday. We're excited about that. What's up? Some locals comments in the house. What else we got? Don Fowler. Hey, Sergeant Bob's here. What is this one? Don. Hey, my son, Don Fowler. Congrats to you and your boy. My son has made it to the upper chain of command board under the Department of War Hegseth and President Trump. My son is the one on the bottom far right. This mama is so proud. Man, shout out, man, to our amazing service members, men and women, although this board is men. Look at this stud right here, man. Shout out to your boy. Congrats to him. What an honor. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us, Don. Congrats. Yeah, Sadie, thank you for sharing with us. Congrats. Shout out, man. We appreciate our men and women serving our country. Awesome. Hey, Indoctrination shared this one from Libs of TikTok. Shout out to her. ASU officials are still pushing DEI. Yeah, I went to ASU. I had to take a women in other cultures class. I told you about that. Taught by a big, giant, fat lesbian. Wild class. Wild class. I'll never forget it. I was the only dude in the class. 70 girls, 60 to 70, one guy. It fit in my schedule, and I had to take it because ASU made you take these like culture credits or whatever. So I'm like, all right, I'll take this one. There were 3 dudes in there. On the first week, they all left. I was like, I can't leave it. It's like I have to have a class right here. So anyways, it was wild. ASU sounds about right. Sergeant Bob, I hope the chicken repubs see opportunity. About a month before the midterms, 2,000 checks should go out with Don's signature on it. Joe's six-pack does not relate to a bigger tax refund, okay? He does relate to a check in his pocket. Bush and Biden did this. Duh. From Sergeant Bob. Good to see you, Sergeant. Yeah, I think it really is about the economy, stupid, and it takes a long time for this to change. And I remember the first term, things really started roaring like right before COVID hit. Everybody was like booming, remember? And then COVID came and wrecked everything. So that's what we're hoping for. A little bit of a long warm up. It takes years to get the economy shifted around. But so maybe we lose the midterms, but you have the next 2 years of just boom, boom, boom. And then we take back the White House with JD in 28. Don, it is being said that if the SAVE Act dies, that Trump will claim Chinese influence in the election so he can secure the midterms. Must be a citizen is required, and no mail-in ballots with exceptions. That may be being shared and claimed, but I don't think he's going to, unless it's like a national emergency type of maneuver, I don't think he's going to be able to get that done via executive order. All the states, like the SAVE Act was going to have the force and weight of the entire federal government. It's a law passed by statute by Congress. President signs off on it. It's got the stamp of 2 branches versus an executive order. I think a bunch of states would just say we're not following it, and the courts would agree with them. Don, why just call the Republicans? We also need to bombard the Democrats too. Well, it's because the Democrats never break ranks, ever. Only the Republicans do. That's why. They'll just laugh at you. Oh, thanks for your call. I call Ruben Geigo. Thank you for your call. Great. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Rob. We don't care. Hey, Mom, when Clinton was president, my dad showed me this puzzle. Can you figure it out? I love... Is that the answer? It is the answer. I love Hillary tree music. Interpreted another way, I love country music. Hey, C. John. Rob, Rep. Omar's guest was arrested at the State of the Union. I think she was brought to make a scene there. Minneapolis woman whom Ilhan Omar took this to the State of the Union needed medical care after the arrest. Thank you, C. John. Medical care for what? My first instinct is her size. Let me just guess. Oh, no, she looks skinny. She stood up and refused to sit down. This is her. Oh, she's got crutches or something. I don't know. She's got a disability. All right. So that wasn't a nice comment. Thank you for that one from C. John. I did not see that. I got it open, though. 22 Dragon. The Legal Defense Fund is a nonpartisan civil rights organization that does not work for, promote, or endorse any political party, candidate, and more. The Legal Defense Fund. Nonpartisan? I think not. Openly operates independently of the NAACP. Yeah, anybody who says they're nonpartisan, first instinct should be they're Democrat partisan hacks. Says the LDF argued Louisiana versus Calais, and another summary there. 22. Thank you for that. We did talk about this. Black Louisianans, 2024 map discriminates against them. Yep, we covered that. Thank you. And it defends and advances the rights of black people in America. All right. 22. Hey, Don, I don't remember Thune's opponent, but it was a silent vote. He was placed in there for situations like these. Yeah, Thune doesn't even really feel to me like an actual person. Like, has he said anything interesting or innovative in his entire career? I don't think so. And have you seen something from John Thune? You're like, wow, that's actually a really good point. How come nobody else has said that before? Ever? No, he's like a mechanical person. He's just part of the sausage factory, just making the sausages. But, he wins elections because he can speak and he looks like a senator. But anything different or useful, or does he just makes the pizzas and ships them out to the front? And we love making pizzas. I make pizzas on Fridays. But it's not novel, okay? You got dough, sauce, cheese, and pepperonis on there. Maybe a little jalapeno if you're feeling spicy. Hey, what's going on? But that's it. It's not really anything innovative. Hey, Off Label, I really do think you're ready to come talk with us. You think so? LMFAO, that would be a great time to see you mad. Well, did I not come off as mad today? I was mad today, man. I just get so irritated. It's like, how many times do we have to keep covering these stupid stories? FBI agents did something horrific and everybody's outraged about it. Yeah, we know. We've been outraged like 10 times. The 10 prior stories. All right, but it also reminds me of Seinfeld. Remember that Seinfeld where Jerry, they're like, he's dating someone. And she's like, I've never seen you mad. He's like, I get mad all the time. He's like pretending. He's like, I'm mad right now. As he talks, I'm very mad. And his girlfriend is like, this is hilarious. Everyone's laughing at him because he's like, can't be mad, And then he does get mad. And she's like, ooh, that was good. He's like, yeah, that felt good. Yeah, let's dig into that. Thank you, Off Label. Hey, Nate's Memes. I'm starting to believe the GOP works for Democrats, not us. Yeah, it's one big giant uniparty. It's like they all work together, right? It's like Howard Lutnick comes out and says, no, Epstein, whatever. It's like, bro, you were on his island walking around in flip-flops on his islands. There are pictures of it. But they'll lie to us because they know that they've got us kind of tucked away in Plato's cave. All these things are just shadows on the wall. Nobody can see anything about it. And they've gotten away with it our whole lives. So why would they change and become honest people all of a sudden? Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, that's me right there. Jigum. That's a real photo. That was the last time I was mad. Back down in Phoenix. It's real, though. It's not AI or anything. It's a real photo. Thank you, Jigum, for refreshing our recollection on that. Friends, it's been a beautiful stream. Thank you for joining us and for being here. It's great to see you. We got Londo in the house. Yeah, you're not supposed to eat meat on Fridays during Lent. Thank you, John, for calling me out on that. Hey, what's up? Susanna is here. We got Jigum in the house. Boopsy. Susanna, in AA meetings over many years, I've heard different people say it that way. Did I say something AA related? I've got a lot of that in my head. So sometimes by the way, it's a very good program. Not just for alcohol, for any type of addiction. And a lot of people have addictions to a lot of things that they may not even consider addictions, but it's a good program. Hey, Rob G fan. Rob says Rob and McConnell bought Murkowski her seat. McConnell donated a bunch of money. Tillis is retiring, so he doesn't care. He'll burn the whole country down on his way out. Thank you, Tom, for nothing. And, go on the talking tour, go get a job somewhere. It's gross. Friends, it's been a great stream. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for the conversation. Thanks for the fun and the friendship. We'll pause here for the night. We'll come back tomorrow. We'll close out the week strong. We're looking forward to it. We got Mike's Schnobritch in the house. Pass a law that paid protesters need to be licensed. Yeah, maybe they should do that in New York. You got to get licensed to go shovel snow. So how about protesting? Fa Flunky, thank you for that. We got B Borrowed. Mrs. T. Rush is over there. Kathleen McKeithen in the house. Valerie Price, great to see you. Kathy Cromwell. B Borrowed. Zanet Sunkdow in the house. Good to see you, Donut. Alan's Parks. Nate's Memes is over there. Great to see you. Our friends on Rumble. Donut, Mr. Peabody, Michael Morpheus. What's up, AJ? AJE. Buried in the Sand is over there. Frida Speech. We got Mr. Peabody. Love Legos, man. I loved Legos as a boy. I used to save up all my money for my chores and go buy Legos with them. It was fun. They were expensive back then. I remember I got this like $90 set of this robot. I saved like all summer for it. It's like, oh my gosh, it came as a boy. I'm like 8 years old. Those were good times. I miss that. Joyous youth. Is that what it is? It's good times. Shout out to the Legos out there. All right, so friends, we'll pause on the evening. It's been a beautiful stream. Big thanks to our amazing mods and meme smiths who mod the fort down for us, keeping things nice and orderly and beautiful around here. Big thank yous to Donut Mind Me. John, thank you. We got Muffin Rando, K-Bean, Carrie B, Neuro D, Janek, Dog Digger, Geegum Geegum, Elliot, Just Rhonda, all keeping things nice and pretty. Great to see you. Yeah, so go over, check out Nikita on the Jack Show. Ricada on the Jack Show. Sounds like it'll be a good one, and I'm sure we'll connect at some point as well. But my friends, once again, thanks for being here. Thanks for the very nice donos. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for sharing the show with somebody who you think should come over and join us when we go live, because we're coming back tomorrow to get into it again. And in order to do it appropriately, we are going to need to see you right back here so that together with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night. Sleep very well. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching, my beautiful friends. Now it's that time where the stream must end. You brought the heat with every chat and line. Together we expose corruption. One more time we dove in the truth where the media hides. Lit up the lies with receipts on all sides. The fight isn't over, but we made them sweat. We ain't done yet, no, not just yet. Because together we are watching the watchers. Truth on our side. Watching the watchers. We won't be denied. Watching the watchers. Eyes open wide. Fighting for freedom with nothing to hide. Drop a like and don't forget to share. And bring a friend who's ready to care. Tomorrow's lies are just today's news, but here we see through